Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jay Banks. It's Tuesday. You know what time it is. Actually, it's about 20 minutes past when we should have started today. Got
What's
my
up?
guy AI. What's cracking, bro?
Hey, what's up? What's up? How are you doing?
Doing good, man.
Yeah, man.
How was your week?
It was fun. We just got done with Black Friday and then shop local Saturday, so that was pretty interesting. Had Santa down here on the levee, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
to
they're
see.
doing free. So, like I didn't dive into it, but I know they're doing complimentary photos with Santa.
Yeah.
So is that like cell phone? Like somebody will hold your cell phone and take a photo
Take
with
family
them?
photos through their phone. Yeah.
Cool.
Because the Santa they had Santa and then like the elf assistant and then they had another assistant. So they had 3 people on stage, kind of like escorting people to him, taking photos, talking to him, the wish list thing, and then next group. And it was very smooth.
Yeah.
Very different than last year.
Right.
Yeah.
It's neat seeing that too.
Yeah.
The fact that they're not charging anybody anything and
Yep.
and just letting you use your phones, because it's like that was kind of the gatekeeper, right? When it comes to like going to seeing Santa Claus, because it's like we can print your photo out for you for
Right.
$20 or $25, wherever it is.
Mhm.
But everyone's got these phones that are, high def. The quality on the cameras are awesome. So it's like I'd rather just have the photo right now and then be able to upload it or send it to my family or
Yep.
do whatever.
Not wait
I
for
want.
someone to send me the photo, and like in some cases, because the malls do that, they'll send you the package of photos that you buy and whatever.
Right.
This was very, very smooth. Go up there, take your photos on your phone, and do your thing, and then the next group comes up. And the best part is there's not really a line because people are kind of walking around, looking at the mall, looking at the shopping aspect of the thing, and then going to get food, coming back and seeing if the line was shorter, jumping in. Like there was no heavy waiting for people, which was the best part.
Right.
It was it felt very organized.
Yeah.
Normally they'll have a house built and the Santa's in the house and you get the whole experience in that regard. But this was a whole experience without needing the house. So I definitely like the change. The house was really cool last year, but new is new, and we're on to the next Santa's. And he made time for so many more kids, which
that's-
is like the biggest part, is letting the kids get the opportunity. Because last year there was only so many slots. We just came out of pandemic, so there was people doing reservations, and that's the era we're in. But so many kids got to experience Santa for nothing. They got to just do their thing. Yeah.
Last year was disheartening, man. Seeing the little kids come in and there it is. But the little kids coming in and like they don't know why Santa said no, I can't see you today. Like
Right.
all they know is they got dressed up in the little stockings and the dress.
Yeah.
And so that's great that they're doing something different this year and trying to accommodate everybody that comes down to the levee.
It was awesome. I really like the change. So
Yeah,
he'll be
bro.
here on the weekends. So come down to the levee and see Santa.
All right, man. Well,
But
let's
yeah,
get to the other side of the
let's get
table
to the
here
good
because
stuff here, man. Let's go.
We've got a good podcast, man. So you guys might have seen him on. You fought Matt Hardy, right? On the AEW. He is a hometown hero. My guy, Lord Crewe. What's going on, brother?
What's up, bro?
How
Thank
you
you
feel?
guys.
There it is.
I'm great, but thank you guys so much for having me come in. This is a really cool setup you got here. Like,
Appreciate it, man.
Very cool setup.
Yeah, we this was like a brainchild of me and Andrew, man. Like we got to come in here and design everything the way we wanted it, and then we just sent the paperwork to NAP, who's the people that own the levee, and they just gave us the thumbs up, and that was the cool thing, man. I remember when Tim actually liked one of the photos. All I had was a black marker on the ground, and it said podcast stage here with a little arrow, and he liked it, and I was like, that's the shit, dude, because like when it comes to a clothing store, like most companies won't allocate 150 square feet to the storefront windows for a podcast, right? Like they would want the clothes or other stuff to advertise.
Yeah.
But for us, it makes total sense because people come in and they go, hey, what do you guys do here? And it's like, well, we're a local company. We interview local natives of the area. And right away, either they want to be interviewed or they know somebody wants to be interviewed. So it opens up conversation to being a local store instead of like, buy this, or buy this. You know what I mean?
And I think that probably works really well in your favor, too, because you're offering something a little bit different that people don't see every single day. And like you said, it kind of humanizes you all as store owners, where you're not just like, the Roddy Piper movie where it's just like, consume, obey, buy. So yeah, it's
I like the fact that you brought in the what was the name of that
They
movie?
Live.
They Live. Yeah.
So like it, a lot of times when you walk into places, it's you just feel pressure right out of the gate because you feel like you've got 1,000 eyes just staring at your every move, and they're just like waiting to pounce. But
Yeah, can I help you? Anything I do for you?
Like this, it's a little more laxed, and like from the moment I walked in tonight, you all were super cool and welcoming, and like I don't know, man, you guys got a good thing here though.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, and that's the thing is like the whole front room, we kind of let it be. Like if you want to look around and kind of just take it all in, because there's so much going on here, right? But there's clues on the walls to get you to walk over to the 7-Up machine. So we kind of want you to experience it yourself. But like once you get into that lab, then that's when we can go in and say, hey, if you need any questions, we're here. But like what Andrew says is like if people come in the store and if they're on the way out, he'll say, hey, let me show you something real quick, or do you want to see something cool? And once they go into that back room, they have a whole different outlook on the front of the store. Mm-hmm. So, they come in and they go, oh, this stuff's okay. And then they walk through a 7-Up machine into a whole nother white room. They're like, minds are blown. And all of a sudden, they come back out here and everything seems more valuable to them, right? Because now they're like, oh, there's a story here. This like the whole yin-yang thing that we're doing is pretty cool. So.
Yeah.
There's more to it. And once they realize there's more to it, because, you can put as much as you want on the walls. It's still a store. You got it looking cool. But when you go into another world, a portal, if you will, then you come out to the everyday life, and everything that you see now is like fresh eyes. It's like a fresh eyes experience, because before you're like, I'm shopping because I'm in my shopping mindset. You go to the mindset of, oh, I'm being wowed. You come back out and you're like, oh, there's probably way more that I missed the first time.
Yeah.
And that...
It's a bit of a palate cleanser.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect wording. And that it's like new experience. They're having 3 different experiences in one store. They walk in, they have their shopper's experience, like, oh, nothing here I'm really vibing with. I'm going to head out. But if they get to the lab, like, oh, I may not buy something.
It's a whole nother vibe, too.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother style of clothes.
Whole
back
nother
there.
style of clothing, another vibe. But it also, they may not be vibing out there, but they might take more time out here again. To like, they may not want to buy something there because the prices are out of the range or whatever the may be. They come back here and they're like, you know what? I'll pick up a hat. You know what? It's their area code, so anyone can vibe with them because it's your native of where you're from. So it's something for everybody, and that's the best part. Is literally you can come in the store. I don't care what age you are or what you're into. There's just something for everyone. You just have to look hard enough.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to overlook it because there is a lot to look in the store. People get maybe overwhelmed with so much that's going on, so they just kind of like, oh, so much sensory going on. We got lights, we got black lights in here. Not many stores have those, so that's a different take on things.
Like Spencer's, but I think that's
exactly.
That's
Spencer's.
like it.
That's exactly
That's like
it.
it.
Outside of that, outside of Spencer's, and like an arcade, there's really black lights don't really show up, and maybe like Otherworld and those parks, but like in some kind of themed thing, but like not a lot of retail experience
but
like that.
Bringing up Otherworld, it's kind of like, you and I talked for a little while and we're catching up before we started recording, and it's kind of like you said, you wanted to bring an experience as more so than just like a place to go spend. Like, yeah, of course it's a place to spend money, but
Sure,
at the same time though, like you said, it's an experience here. It's not just a,
Yeah.
It's not just a boring. It's not just a
grab you by
boring
your
store.
grab you by your throat and say, "Come here and buy clothes."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Once
You're
once
gonna
you leave, you have memories.
Yeah.
You have memories that bring you back. Like, yo, you remember that one time we went to Native? We was on the levee. Yo, we got to go back.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like one of those.
And that's one of the things that we've noticed too, man, is like we're trying to correlate things where, if you come in and experience the store, there's a shirt in the back that says, I found the lab and all I got was this fucking t-shirt.
Yeah.
Or like, I found this portal does not exist and it's got a big 7-Up machine.
Yeah, it's very Twilight Zone-ish. Yeah.
Very Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things where it's almost like a souvenir, right? Like that's what we're understanding is like, we've got different things on the walls here, and if we can take that, like the spaceship and the big space stuff that we have behind the counter, we have another shirt that has all those logos on it, so it kind of gives you like a piece of the store when you go home with.
Sure.
To tell a story, and that's the thing, man. Like when it comes to this store, it's not like, oh, I bought this from a store in Cincinnati. It's like they want to talk about the store, right?
Yeah.
Like they want to say, oh, I found this store, and then I walked through a 7-Up machine to buy this T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's a different nostalgia to it.
They
for
show
sure.
photos from the store, so that not often are you showing a selfie you took at Target. You know what I mean? Not gonna.
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen. But you take a selfie in our room.
Wait,
you're gonna show.
You don't take selfies at Target?
I'm sure a lot of people do.
Andrew takes selfies everywhere.
I'll take
bro.
selfies everywhere, but I'm not showing people that.
Sure.
Right.
Right. So like I may take them places, for my own personal gain, but I'm not showing any of these selfies to anybody outside of my phone's.
You're not excited about
exactly,
it. You're not excited to
exactly.
show
And I think a lot of people are the same way unless they're posting it on their Snapchat or their story on Instagram or Facebook. But people will show their selfies from the lab. They will show them from the white room. So that is who's doing that. That's something that interactive with our store. Because you're finding your way to the lab in the first place. You've got to get there, and once you're there, you're like, I've achieved this. You don't even realize you're trying to achieve something till you do. You're in there, got to take a picture, and I'm going to show Johnny, Timmy, and Sarah when I get out of here. I'm definitely showing them this room, and we're coming back.
And it becomes a word of mouth thing.
Becomes a word of mouth.
Yep.
That snowball effect,
Go
and
around the town, and then next thing you know, they want to check it out.
yeah, and the success rate of it is pretty much unmatched. Really, people come in here. Very rarely does someone go in there and not take a picture.
Right.
They'll ask. They don't have to ask, but they feel like they have to ask, which is another dynamic. We could go on a deeper level there, but like they ask, "Can I take photos?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope. 2 selfie stations. Don't need permission. Do your thing. I'm gonna step out because I gotta run the store. But they're like expecting me to be a tour guide, and I've done the tour guide thing here sometimes. But like, I just let them process and like. They're like, what is this? Am I in a museum? Like, I've been asked if it's a museum before, if we sell CBD and weed. Like, I've been asked. I've been asked a lot of different things. People coming back there for real.
And
yeah.
they go from selfies to like even like TikToks and stuff like that too, because
Oh yeah, the TikTok dancers.
Yeah, there's like we have over 100,000 views on TikTok, man, just from people posting stuff, but never correlates to the store because the store's not getting tagged, which it's understandable. Like it's the hashtag I found the lab. So if you look under that, that's how we find all the videos on TikTok.
You could just do hashtag NativeTV or native. You feel me? Like
well, it's the hashtag is that's how we find
for
it.
Us,
but we need them to be tagging the store itself in the photos so that people know where it's at. Because we've had people come in from Michigan that are like, this is where it's at. Like I've seen this on TikTok before. Like I can't believe I'm here right now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And it's wild to think that TikTok is that powerful. Like we all hear about it, but we've experienced it in real life. Hey, you got
Dude,
something
I
on
know.
TikTok? Let's hear it.
I'm too old for it, I feel like.
Well, I know
It's adjusting.
exactly where you're gonna go with this, man. Because you being a professional wrestler, right? Like there's a lot of things that you've got to do on the back end.
Oh yeah.
That correlates to your business itself. So when you fought Matt Hardy in the AEW, you're like. Those are those moments where you got to collect as many of those followers because that's what they're looking for at the end of the
and
day.
It will go crazy.
Oh
It
yeah,
will
for
go
sure.
crazy
And
on TikTok.
it's one of those things where it's like
It's another beast that you don't want to open up.
That's exactly what it is, I think. And I have publicly said so much crap about TikTok and how much I'd hate it and just despise it that I feel like if I was to double back on it and give in, then I'm like.
Right.
But I will say
I've dug myself into a hole.
But you don't necessarily have to think that way. So I see where you're at in that, Sean. But
I also see where you're at because like I've looked at both sides of
adjusting. There's nothing wrong with growth and being like, you know what, I wasn't on the TikTok train, but you know what, we're gonna do something creative with this. You're gonna help me with the TikTok, and like you could put it into the fans' hands, you could put it onto friends' hands, and get people. There's a way you could double down on your beliefs but still get into
I've told myself that if I ever do succumb to it that I'm not going to follow anybody.
That's fine.
I'm not following anybody. I'm not looking at shit. I'm just posting and getting out.
Posting and ghosting.
Yeah.
Posting and ghosting.
Yeah.
The viewers too though, because little kids, they love, what I'm saying, they love wrestling.
That's what it's
and
all
the kids,
about.
they run into TikTok.
Do it for the kids, bro.
That's what
You
it's
feel me?
all
Like
about.
you
though.
do
Yeah.
some cool shit, like you feel me, and they see it. You ain't got to even worry about it. They go share it.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
See, and that's the thing. It's like advancing yourself in the wrestling game is all about getting new sets of eyes on you and reaching new audiences and stuff. And so I get it. And it's been one of them things where I'm like, should I do it? Should I not?
Power struggle in there.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
I've actually I considered downloading it just to reserve my
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Like
you
just to
don't-
snag
got to, bro.
snag my
Yeah.
handle, so that way, man, now somebody's gonna like watch this video and go snag it and then try to
Right.
sell it to me.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah. But that's something you
Don't
definitely
mess
have to
with
do.
him.
And every time a social media comes up, I'll download it and I'll take Native or the Native brand. Just even if I'm not going to use it, just in case later on down the road.
Yeah.
But we had an 18-year-old kid that came in here last week. That's got a couple million followers on TikTok. And the kid was smart, man. He's like, look, I see what you're doing, right? Like, you guys want to stick with Instagram because you've got 12,500 followers or whatever. He's like, but if you just look at it as putting TikTok to the top of the funnel and just putting all the content on TikTok, it's going to funnel down. And with how TikTok is, you can go viral overnight with that.
Yeah.
If something does go viral, it's all going to trickle over. Where all of a sudden the 12,500 followers is going to turn to 15,000. We gain like 30 followers a day, maybe. Which is awesome, but it's still a struggle to get to where you need to be.
And it's so crazy because sometimes like just the weirdest thing can be the thing that catches fire and gets you super popular. Like, I work for a promotion called Championship Wrestling from Hollywood out in Los Angeles, and just this last set of tapings, the Voros twins. Are you aware of who they are? Apparently, they're real popular on TikTok. They're the blonde-haired twins that did the Da Vinci thing or whatever. I had never heard of it,
Yeah, I
but
haven't
apparently
heard
a shit ton of other people have. And like after the show, like these two guys were getting flooded by people to take pictures with them and like selling merchandise and stuff because of their presence on TikTok.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
That's exactly what the whole shtick was.
Yeah.
And I mean, so that interaction kind of had me scratching my head. I'm like, if they can go viral over something so
Simple,
simple, yeah, and the
you're
thing
over
is
here in the
that,
gym 7 days a week. Yeah.
yeah, and
It's
that's
frustrating, man.
It is. It's
Your
very.
time coming?
But yeah, I mean, I ain't sweating
Yeah,
that.
man,
I know
you know
my
what I'm
time's
saying?
coming, but
For
But
sure.
what I'm saying though is just with the whole social media thing, I hate that that's where we are right now. And I've had this conversation with some people, like when we do a lot of long car rides when we're traveling for wrestling and stuff. And,
Oh, yeah.
And we've had the talk where how nice it must have been for some of these guys in the 90s who just showed up to TV, did their thing, and then went home, didn't have to worry about posting stuff on Twitter daily or, keeping up with that. And
They had one catchphrase, bro.
And that was it, yeah.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You know what I mean? With the 2x4. It was just one thing he had to do, and then
And that
he
was
got
it.
all the followers just in that one little thing he did.
yeah, but it's like, it just, I hate that social media is king now. And
You know
it's
what?
like,
I totally agree, man. Because we're
but you either get with it or you get lost in it. Or you get
100%.
lost without
Exactly.
it. So
That's why I was
it.
saying jump on the
Yeah.
TikTok now,
Need it.
because that's the thing is, a lot of us in the late 20s, 30s have not necessarily jumped onto the TikTok train, and we're starting to late, where like the 15, 16, 17, even 12-year-olds jumped on it right away.
Yeah,
so we're
that's
kind
my
of
niece. My niece
exactly
is
and
one
the
of those, yeah.
we put up resistance just because there's so many social medias. It was just another one to us. It just happens
That's
to be
exactly-
the one that's the most organic. It can go, you can go viral in a day, literally, and it's amazing. But it's just there's a little resistance in the age thing, I'd say. So
social media is our TV. Social media is our radio. Social media is our newspaper, pretty much.
Right.
You're not
Like,
wrong.
like
That's
nowadays,
another
you know
conversation
what I'm
that I've
saying?
had with people before too. Is that like, I think just the way that we consume media as a society now is just so different than even from when like we were teenagers and stuff. Because
Yeah.
like, we were there for the first iPods. We
Yeah,
were
right,
there
yeah,
for
yeah.
we were illegally downloading stuff from
Right.
Napster and all that.
Yeah.
LimeWire.
I used to use it-
Pirates Bay and all that
Aries,
stuff.
do you remember Aries? ARES. That was the one I used all the time.
Yeah,
It was so good. Yeah.
Dude,
The,
we
the,
were-
the Pirate Bay was
Pirate Bay
by
was
far
great.
the best
Yeah, yeah,
one.
yeah.
Pirate
Pirate
Bay was
Bay,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was so
Best one.
organized.
But
Back
it
in the
was
day,
either,
man.
but so even
Yeah.
before that, we had to like, if we wanted to listen to a song, we had to buy the CD, and then
Yeah.
if you bought the CD, you had now invested into it, and it had replay value, and you didn't just listen to that one song; you listened to it front to back.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like now everything is just about like, I consumed this, what's next?
Yep.
I consumed this, what's next?
Right,
And
right.
there's no, like, I feel like a song is out for 6 months and then it's considered old. Like, nothing has replay value. And because of that, just, you know, the way we consume media now, I just feel like you have to be constantly pressured to put out new content constantly, or people are just going to bypass you onto the next thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Consistency is like the biggest thing. A lot of bands and musicians in general are doing singles with videos rather than full album drops. So they'll do single, package everything, maybe put a song or two extra, then drop that as an album. But the songs have been out for a year before they even drop in the album, just because of the nature of the business.
Yeah.
It's singles, and just got to get that one-hit wonder to a degree, and then everything else after that, you know, trickles in.
Or people's like favorite song, because like YouTube and stuff like that. So, you know, like what you were saying, like you get caught in a race where you feel like you gotta keep putting out stuff, but it's like, and it's also what Jay be saying, like you throwing stuff to the wall and see what stick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with certain songs,
That's exactly
like,
what it is. Yeah.
you know,
Songs are trial and error.
it could be it really
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
It could be a certain song you just listen to it. That's the song that's gonna get your day started.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So-
And you never know what like you said, you don't
never
know
know
which
what song
one's
will
going to
be.
hit. Might not
Yeah.
be your favorite song, but that one that you threw to the window actually stuck, and it's like, man, that's not my band. Like I don't. That's not my favorite song I made, but that's the one that's sticking to the window right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're in the same boat though, because we've got, you know, even though, you know, you're in the wrestling field and we're in the clothing field, when it comes to like followers and the content, like that's all they care about, bro. So like you're not in this alone. Like we've got a store, we've got an awesome store, right? Like honestly, over 100 times a month we get, this is the coolest store I've ever seen. And I tried telling that to Zoomies, bro. They're like, we don't give a fuck. Like they literally like
sleeping on
all we care about is followers. How many followers you have?
sleeping.
And it's like he's a friend of mine, so of course like he's gonna tell me the truth. Because I was like, man, we're gonna get a commercial together. We're gonna like show the lab and how it's like a secret to everything. And he's like, ain't gonna work, bro. Like followers. How many followers do you have? I'm like, bro, like the Mad Scientist isn't even on Facebook. It's the Native brand, and I didn't want to start another one because it's been a bear to get to 12, right? And so now that we're at 12,000 followers, like I don't want to start a whole new one. And he's like, bro, it's brass tacks, and it makes sense. He's like, you can't fake it, right? If you got 20,000 followers on social media and you didn't buy them, that 100% reciprocates into sales. You know what I mean? So it's like that's the brass tacks. That's the easiest way for a company to go, okay, these guys are onto something. Because if the society likes it, then we'll like it.
Well, that correlates into wrestling as well too, because a lot of the major players now, that's one of the things they look at when they're looking at who they're going to bring onto their TV
100%,
products
bro.
and stuff, 'cause,
Ronda
like,
Rousey wasn't the best in the business. You know what I mean? But she had the following, right? So when they
and
brought her in,
but she's also a little bit of a, well, I think Ronda Rousey's an example, but I think like Logan Paul's a better example.
oh, for sure.
Because
Yeah, for
Ronda
sure.
Rousey at least had that MMA background to
oh,
where she was already
she really
packaged.
wanted to
She
beat the
was
shit out of those
Yeah,
girls.
so she was already like sold to the wrestling audience that, you know, this woman's a legit badass.
Yeah.
You know, she
had a background,
you don't
for
fuck
sure.
with Ronda Rousey. You know what I
Right,
mean? So
right.
like, but Logan Paul was a little bit of a different like scenario where he wasn't an MMA fighter. He wasn't like, he was just some kid on YouTube.
Right.
But because of the following that he'd built, they were like, you know, that's this many more eyes on our product that maybe weren't there before. So
Right.
like, but that dude has absolutely taken the wrestling thing on with a full head of steam. I am wildly impressed with how well he's
Me too.
adapted to wrestling.
Me too.
It's amazing. I mean, just the other day when he did the stream of him jumping off the ropes onto the table, like
with
just
the 360 camera, that was fire, bro.
Just the fact that he thought that with his capability of social media, he
implemented his day-to-day into his profession.
Everything, and
which they haven't thought of before, which was ridiculous to think that shot was so fire, bro.
so fire, and like people have their mixed feelings about like his competition, and things he's going through. But I don't care the level of competition. If you're getting in a ring with another grown man, doesn't like just go. Like whatever the case may be, go. And he's making the most of everything he's doing, and his like the physicality he's put into it. Like he's being consistent on the social media front. That's a busy life.
Yeah,
that is a busy life thing. I mean, think about how many hours a day that he's contributing to not communicating with his mom. If you I mean like or anything, like
but
just
if
how
I
much
was making the kind of bread he's making, I wouldn't talk to my mom either.
It's fair. That's fair. Shout out to moms. Gotta love
Just send her a check once a month.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
sure
"Hi,
he thought.
Mom."
Right. Exactly. But like in general, like in his family, friends. That's my point. Really, like how much time he's putting aside for these loved ones and different things because he's putting all his time into social media, pushing himself, doing these podcasts. He's on the podcast all the time, talking to all these different random people, and he's going to these. He's setting up matches, and he's doing press and promo, and then also making YouTube videos, content. So it's like
and just training
and
like,
I didn't even, yeah.
don't even like
Yeah,
like
right.
you didn't even put that into the equation
Exactly.
because
He looking out for his bro too.
right.
yeah, and that's like
Yep.
he didn't have a wrestling background. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't. It's not like he was a guy like me who, you know, just one day decided like, all right, man, I'm gonna take this pro wrestling thing serious, and then found a school, got trained. But like he just, I mean, he had access to the best training facility that the world has to offer, the best coaches, but at the same time, if he wouldn't have taken it seriously and put in the work, then he wouldn't be worth a shit. But
Exactly.
like I said, I'm very impressed with how well he's
Adapted.
actually
Him
done
and his brother Jake, man. Like Jake is turning into a professional boxer for real. Like
yeah, I heard his next opponent's actually going to be the corpse of Jack Dempsey. He keeps fighting all these old men that are retired.
Right. And that is that's one of those things where it's like he's good enough to fight like anybody. I think seeing where he was in 2018 sparring and where he is in 2022. It's mind blowing. But they also have all the money in the world, man, where they can, they've got a boxing ring in their backyard, bro.
Yeah,
where, they're just like, hey, let's go box, let's go spar.
I think the money definitely has their opportunity to separate themselves to be able to do stuff at an accelerated pace.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
for
So
sure.
if you have the money to accelerate your body and get the training done properly and be able to put the marketing into yourself, that's not even talked about enough. The marketing into your character, because
Oh, another one.
because I mean there's marketing that goes into, we talk social media, but marketing in general and developing your character and developing who you are when you're on that stage. So he's doing all these different things, and money can just accelerate it and make it happen. And YouTube followers, so he already has people to buy the merch. So he's got everything built into his community or ecosystem, if you will. So
it's his brand.
It's his brand. Yeah, exactly.
That's it. It's his brand. That's
and he's went down too, because remember the Paul brothers have been through so many controversial things, right? There was the death forest. Like that was pretty low point, I would say. But like to come up from that, but in that time period, he probably gained so many new followers because like this dude's fearless. He's willing to do anything.
Well,
like,
there's also that whole crowd of people too who just want to cling to whatever's controversial. You know what I mean? Like there's also an audience just for that. They just love watching anything that's pissing people off.
Yeah, and that stretches through like everything. Those people,
media,
they can like the sweet stuff, but they also want to see the stuff that's ruffling feathers. You know what I mean? They want to see society a little bit like, oh, let's get the chaos and anarchy. There's tons for anarchy, and I mean, V for Vendetta showed how popular that movie was. There's people out there that want to see that, and he knows what to appeal to them, to this crowd. He's well balanced. Both of them are well balanced.
There's a lot of people in media today who just are where they are because they've got the social media thing figured out.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
Like,
James
if somebody would just put out like a book of here's how to do it. Follow these instructions. You got it. I don't read a whole lot of books, but I'd read that one
2 times over, bro. Yeah, you have to. I think a little bit of it is a little bit of luck. There's luck in luck in viral, but like I think luck in the sense of like, obviously there's luck in everything, but like luck in the sense of when you're putting your content out there, you have to be lucky enough to hit on the bullseye to go. You can't necessarily, you can shoot at the target, but to land the bullseye, not everyone lands the bullseye. They might get the 200,000 followers, but to get to 2 million or get to 1 million, to get to that level, to be able to be an open season for anything, that is the luck I'm talking about. Obviously, it takes luck to do it most anything, to even be born, obviously, right, but like in the start. But like to hit the bullseye to what your on brand is, that luck is very hard to come by. We don't live in the area where you can be this certain physique of a person or a certain look of a person and just get a role in a movie. Now you have to promote yourself, have to have proper headshots, you have to do this, you have to have followers, this and this and this, and now you get a call to be able to try out, get your opportunity to be in the movie. You have to do all this stuff. Social media and the internet has really changed the dynamic of everything. And there's so many social medias we talked about. You mentioned Twitter earlier with sharing, like all these social medias are so everywhere. What's the right place for you? First off, because everyone's different. You know what I mean? Like we all want TikTok. We all want to be on TikTok and be a professional TikToker, but that takes a lot of effort. There's a lot of video editing with it. There's time. A lot of social media people have people that do it for them. They're not even the person making. I mean, Gary Vee. Are you familiar with Gary Vee? So Gary Vee is he's an entrepreneur.
Brother looked at me like I had two heads. He's like, "What?"
Well, you look into him. Look into him. He's really good at what he does. So he's an entrepreneur. He was an early investor in a bunch of social medias, and he's become this big like personality. He will cuss like a sailor. He doesn't care, but he's a businessman. He's got he's VCon. He's got a whole conference now. Like he's doing his thing. He's awesome. But the thing, very optimistic, positivity, and is a big part of his brand. But the thing with him is he has constant social media push. Like on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, there's constantly content from him. It's impossible for one man to make this much content. It's just impossible for it. Otherwise, he's going to sit on his phone 24/7, but he has other people. Yeah. There's a section for people doing Facebook stuff, and he has a whole team to push it, which grows him faster. He's got it down to a science, man, and it's actually like the most impressive thing I've seen on social media out of pretty much anybody, because he's pushing content. He's doing cartoons now. He's creating like characters, kind of like Disney characters. Yeah. So his V friends, there's just I
wouldn't call them Disney characters. They're like
he bases it around Disney model. That's what he says.
Right. But when you see the drawings, they're drawings of like what was some of them that like the anxious turtle or something.
Yeah. They all have like a theme to their character, like. You know, there's a bee. They all have personalities and they all talk and they all do different things. He's taking it to a new level. It's kind of remarkable.
They don't talk though. They're just cartoons.
There's ones that talk.
Oh really?
Yeah. These get to that point.
Oh,
It's amazing. Yeah.
So he's not drawing them anymore?
Nope. It's gone to they've got.
All right. So what I was referring to was his drawings, which looked like a ninth grader drew.
His early ones. His first ones were him drawing himself. So he built the characters.
That's the only reason why I rebutted on the Disney thing, because it was like, oh man, it looked like a ninth grader drew.
Yeah, the very very beginning, which was just last year. That's what's how fast he's moving. Look up Gary Vee.
I will.
Yeah, he's worth a search. Yeah.
Bro, if anybody catches this gnat, I'll give you a free T-shirt. I've been trying to catch it for an hour.
I'm gonna Bruce Lee the shit out of this gnat.
There it is.
Trying to fly in my cup.
Give me some chopsticks.
Dude, that would be. I'll give you 2
Mr.
T-shirts to catch them with. Yeah. Or Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the world shut down in 2020, Gary Vee was. I remember watching like his videos on YouTube, and he was one of the people saying, "Yo, y'all need to jump on TikTok."
Yeah, he's been saying it since before the pandemic, probably.
But at the time of the pandemic, that's when it like really shot up, because like
we're at home.
The whole world, you ain't got nothing else to do. Like
nothing
everything's
to do.
closed. Like you know what I'm saying? You spending time with family. You out here shooting TikTok, doing comedy skits on your porch.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
Stuck at home anyways.
Yeah, you stuck at home anyways.
Right.
Might as well find something to do.
I did a lot of push-ups during the pandemic.
You doing push-ups?
There you go.
TikTok videos of you doing push-ups.
And so let's talk about that fight with Matt Hardy, man, because that was during the pandemic, right?
That was just 2 months ago, or October.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the Matt Hardy thing was just a month ago.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! I thought I read 2021.
No, that was just like October. Yeah, so.
So
yeah,
how
a little
was
over a
that
month ago.
experience, man? Because Matt Hardy's obviously a legend when it comes to
Yeah.
people like you. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
would be like fighting, like a Virgil Abloh for
Yeah,
me. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah, rest in peace. He just had the year.
the 1 year. Yeah.
1 year,
Yeah.
yeah.
What was the experience like?
Yeah.
It was just, dude, it was so surreal. So it happened over here at the Heritage Bank Arena, which
Oh, hell
you know,
yeah.
Okay.
if we're all Cincinnati boys, so that's the place where I grew up seeing wrestling as a kid.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
if we would go over to see Monday Night Raw, it was there. So like
Yeah.
I've probably seen Matt Hardy wrestle in that building as a kid, and then for me to get to do that
It's amazing.
was
Full
incredible.
circle,
Yeah,
yeah.
it really
Yeah.
was like a full circle kind of moment because, when people get into wrestling, we all have these illusions of grandeur. Like we all have this vision of what we want out of it.
Right.
And then like when I was in the ring and then the Hardy's music hit and I'm like watching him come down the ramp and shit.
To
and I'm
fight
like,
you.
Yeah, me.
To
I'm
fight
like-
you.
I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, this is, like, if you would have told, like, 10, 13-year-old me, whatever, like, dude, there's going to be a day that you're going to wrestle Matt Hardy. I'm like,
Right.
no way, dude. Like,
Yeah.
shut up. Like, because, we were talking a little bit before we went on the air, but I've been a fan of wrestling my entire life.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, like, from
WWF.
yeah, WWF, like, from the early 90s to, all the way through. And it was always something that I loved, but I never thought that I would be able to do because, I'm tall, but I was real skinny as a kid.
Right.
So when I grew up watching wrestling during like the era of the Giants. So like everybody was, over 6 foot tall,
Oh, yeah.
260 pounds of just solid muscle. So I was like, I'll never be that.
Right.
So I for a while there, like I pursued music. I did that for a little bit. That was fun while it lasted. But then that ran its course and I was just working a job and doing that. And I had this void where I wasn't fulfilled, like
Yeah.
from an aspect of entertaining people. So how I actually made the leap to get into wrestling is a very weird story. So I was working out at an LA Fitness in Crescent Springs, and I was like just in the middle of my workout, and I saw two guys from the WWE because they just were in town that day.
Mm-hmm.
They came into the gym, and Santino Marella asked me where the locker room was because the locker room's in kind of a funky spot.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, yeah, dude, it's like back there or whatever. So he thanked me. He went on about his business. A little while later, he comes back up to me in the gym and he thanks me again. And we start kind of, shooting the shit a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was like, he said, because like I was talking about liking wrestling and stuff. And he asked me if I wrestled. And I said, no. I was like, it's always something that I thought would be cool. And he was like, well, you have a unique, cool look. He's like, you should. If it's something that you're serious about, you should, give it a shot.
That's awesome, man.
So-
he saw something right away.
Yeah.
bro,
So-
yeah.
Real recognize real, man.
Well, so the other guy who was in the gym at the time was wrestling in WWE as Damian Sandow. So, I took that talk serious. And so that was in my head. I'm like, man, I would really love to do that. That'd be so cool. But I was still working this job that took a lot of my time and stuff. Some stuff happened at that job. I got let go. And then that was my sign of like, now's the time.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I lost that job, I was like, I have no excuse now.
Yeah.
Like I went, I found Bone Crushers Pro Wrestling Academy over in Cincinnati. I started training, and from the moment I stepped into that ring, I knew this is what I wanted to do. Like I
That's
immediately
amazing, yeah.
felt way more in love with it than I could have ever imagined. So I started like working my ass off, in training. Finally had my first match. I'd been wrestling for a little while. My first Canadian date, have you ever heard of Blackcraft Clothing?
Well, I don't think so. No.
They were running a wrestling promotion for a while.
Okay.
So I was wrestling for Blackcraft, and we did a show in Canada that was like a joint show with a company called Destiny. It was at Santino Marella's building that he trains wrestlers in.
Oh, okay.
The dude who I had this conversation with, I'm now wrestling in the building that he owns and trains people out of, and he was there. So I pulled him aside and I said, "Hey man, you're not going to remember this, and I told him about the
showed you the
conversation we
bathroom.
had.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
and now I'm here, so I just wanted to say thank you. Because
Yeah.
had we not had this conversation, I don't know if I would have made that
Did you
leap.
catch it?
I see it. It's right there.
Did you? So
No,
did
he
he
didn't get it.
remember you though?
No, but I remembered it.
But
That's what's important.
But that's
That's what's important. And
That's the best part, man. Is having somebody that says, "Hey, dude, you should try this," and then 5 years down the road or 2 years down the road, you guys meet again, and all of a sudden, you guys are on the same page, right? Like,
yeah, and then fast forward another few years, I was out in California wrestling for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and the other guy who was in the gym was one of the writers.
Oh wow.
So it's like those two guys who I had met that day, I've been able to like now share.
T-shirts.
You got it? Hell yeah. So
Got it. Yep.
So now
We'll give the free T-shirt to you since he gets free tees anyways.
fair enough. I already got one picked out.
Oh, there's another one.
Oh
God
shit!
damn,
There's
dude.
another one, dude. And they're all hovering by you. You gotta have. You're like
Pick pen.
attracting these gnats, man.
I don't know what it is.
Pig pen, bro.
You need to change your
No,
socks,
we need
dude.
no.
Fresh
think-
one's on actually.
I think we need to shampoo that chair.
I was
bro.
gonna
There-
say I think it's the chair. These chairs
Yeah,
are
the
There's,
chair.
there's a lot of bourbon soaked into
a
that.
lot of no, really. We spilled wine on one of them one time. We were drinking sangria there for a little bit. Sangria is the move, man.
Oh.
Yeah, that's stained. So
Damn, we should have grabbed sangria. I didn't think about. We haven't had that for a minute.
I know we're overdue. But
Right.
yeah, that's the thing is like so podcast. We're out here. We're out here relaxing and just having a conversation with Sean Stereart, and he's telling us about if you're just tuning in, he's telling us about his experience with. Pro wrestling is so people can be like semi-pro or pro. Is it all in together or
So it's kind of a weird thing. So
Yeah.
the sport or what I do itself, is just as a blanket statement, is professional wrestling.
okay, yeah.
What we actually refer to, like if you were to see like high school wrestling team,
I
or, like,
wrestled in high school.
collegiate wrestling,
Yeah.
that's actually called amateur wrestling.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
like that's just kind of the terminology, just as like a blanket statement.
Sure, yeah.
So there are like, of course, different levels to professional wrestling. There's there's some guys who never make it out of their hometown. There's some guys who travel the world and never sign a major deal. And then you got the guys who are, at the top of the food chain, signed on TV every week. So there's definitely levels to this.
Yeah, there's goals you
and-
can achieve too. Yeah.
And then there's also, too, though, like, not everybody goes into it with the same thing in mind, because now that I've been at this for a little while now, and one of the things that I try to do as much as I can is I go back to the school where I trained and try to help out with some of the newer folks. And this isn't me, saying anything bad about anybody who came before me at the school that I was at, but when I was coming up through training, there wasn't many guys from where I started at who were trying to really branch out and do something more with it. And that was my goal from the jump, is I wanted to make this a career.
Yeah.
My goal was to never stay in one place and just, be content with that.
Yeah.
That just wasn't
Be able to
what I
travel
had in
and do what
mind.
you
Yeah.
love, and that's all.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
like
It's a
I
new
kinda-
love. It's a newish love. I mean, you've
Yes.
loved this since you were a kid, but like
Yeah,
to
but,
actually
like-
get into a ring and throw down, that's a
and I just keep
level of adrenaline,
and I
man.
feel like I just keep falling in love with it
Yeah.
more as it goes on.
It's awesome.
Like, to think back from where I started, like I trained in some crappy little building over in Camp Washington.
Yeah.
And to like go from that to wrestling in front of thousands of people in an arena, like that's such like a crazy
dude.
thing. And
It's hard to even
but-
fathom.
but
It's
Man.
those-
motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those
Yeah.
situations just make you more hungry for the next thing.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, because once you get a taste of that, and because that's a very intimidating thing.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like to the first opportunity I got with AEW, when I actually went out into the arena and into the ring, like I took a second to just really like look around and
Soak it
I'm
in.
like, holy shit. Yeah, like this is what I've dreamt of. You
Yeah.
know, like being in this spot, you know, these thousands of people, their eyes are on me right now.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, this shit's crazy. Like,
Right.
and like,
Right.
and it was very like, so, a person who has been very important to my journey of professional wrestling is Wildcat Chris Harris. He
Shout out.
He wrestled for TNA Impact for years, but he's from Fort Wright, so he's been around.
Okay.
You know, during my upbringing in wrestling, and he's been one of my big mentors. When I told him that, you know, I had that opportunity, he kind of gave me a little bit of a pep talk. And he said, you know, like, he said, I know that setting is intimidating. He's like, but you're in a wrestling ring every single weekend. He's like, what goes on in there, that's what you're in control of. You're not in control of this shit out here. So
Right.
don't even worry about that. He's like, you're not doing anything different than what you do every single weekend. He's like, so just worry about inside there, because that's what you control.
Inside the square.
He said, you worry about that. Don't worry about the other shit, and none of it'll matter.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then it was like as soon as the bell rang, all that shit disappeared, and it just felt like another match.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel the same way, like, on stage. It's much
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
So the performance, I would always perform if it was either the 5 people or the 500, 5,000. It didn't really matter. It's just same stage, same performance. Doesn't matter.
Mhm.
They're getting the same thing no matter what. That's what
Yeah.
I'm training myself to do. Because I would get low. Like, I would, a lot of maneuvers that weren't just like standing and singing. So like, I was putting on a performance. Didn't matter how many people.
Sure.
It had no bearing on me. So the same thing when you're in that ring, all the narrow vision, just
Narrow
Yeah.
vision.
narrow
It
vision,
has to be.
tunnel vision.
So
Yeah, what's up?
And so when Eminem dropped that song "Lose Yourself," I envision that's what that felt like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro. Yeah, that's a great example.
That is a very good example.
Yeah.
Because you almost do have to lose yourself.
Yeah.
Like, because if you get too caught up into like worrying about everybody out there, then your
It's in
brain,
your head,
your mind has to be like on the task, and
So when it came to fighting Matt Hardy, man, was this like? I mean, I don't want to give away all the secrets of like wrestling, but did you get to hang out with him like the week before? Like, was this one of those things where you guys like?
no, dude, I met him like an hour and a half before, and like, yeah.
That's incredible, dude. So
Yeah.
so like that's one of those things where like when it comes to wrestling, you don't know if you guys are like rehearsing, right? Like the whole how the whole synopsis is gonna play out. It's like I don't know that end, but it's a very theatrical not moment, but like a very theatrical play, right? Like you guys
Sure,
are dancing inside this ring, and you guys got like the give and take that you have to be inside that ring to like and the self-control, right? Because
Yeah.
if like I've seen like especially when it comes to women like I couldn't imagine when I was talking with your girlfriend earlier, it's like there's so little of the women that are involved in the wrestling, right? That like there's always a spotlight on them. So like when I see the women wrestling, like I feel like they're taking it out on each other, right? Like when somebody gets hit, it's like it's a real hit, or where it's almost like a bitch, this is for
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like
Right.
so it's like it's one of those things where it's like it's got to be a dance, but you got to hold back all that like animosity of like, bro, you hit me too hard, or like, you know what I mean? Like you weren't supposed to do that. Like I don't know the whole synopsis of it, but it seems like you guys have to be dancing in the ring to make an episode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, wrestling's strange in the sense that like there will be times where you'll have matches with guys who you're really good friends with, and then there's going to be times where you have matches with guys who you've known for an hour, so you are literally putting you're trusting this person with your health and well-being, because that person, like, if you don't know this guy or you don't know what, you're just literally trusting that they're not going to drop you on your head and paralyze you.
That's what I'm
You know
saying.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, there's been times where I think it's just kind of, we all get into this with a common goal, and none of us are there to hurt each other. We're
Of
there.
course.
We're there to put on a good
Performance,
performance for the fans, and but shit does happen. And it
all the time,
and
bro.
it sucks.
And that's the thing about wrestling is like people think like, oh, this is fake, but like there's so many times where I mean, like it's not fake because you guys have this entire story that you're playing out, right?
Yeah. So I was kind of hoping that this would get brought up
Cool.
because I think fake is such an unfair word for what we do.
100%.
Because what I tell people all the time is because
he got it.
when people don't understand wrestling, they just, like they've maybe seen it a time or two. They might know who Ric Flair is, but like
Right.
they don't really know wrestling.
John Cena.
The thing I get asked all the time when people find out that I'm a wrestler, they always go, "Oh, do you do that fake shit?"
Oh damn.
Oh.
And my response is always,
Roll.
let me body slam you. And they're
See if
like,
it's
"No,
fake."
fuck that." And I'm like, "Well, if it's fake, it shouldn't hurt, right?"
Right.
Right.
And so what I always tell people is what we do is a work or whatever. It's, predetermined, but the shit we go through is very real.
Oh, it's rigorous.
And
man.
then what I say to people all the time too is I'm like, what does it fucking matter if it's fake? I'm like, most of the shit you love is fake.
Oh, 100%.
Game of Thrones is about fucking dragons and incestual relationships and all this shit. But I'm like, but you all eat that out. You eat that out of the palm of people's hand. And like, my whole thing is like, if you can allow yourself to suspend your disbelief into this magical realm of dragons and fucking Scarlet Witches and shit, or the Marvel universe, how much of that shit's real?
Right.
None
Yeah.
of it.
It's
So
entertainment.
Yes,
That's what we're here
so
for.
that's
yeah.
what I'm trying. That's what I try to tell people. I'm like, most of the shit that you love is not reality. So this shouldn't be any different. And
it's
I'm like,
yeah, good job.
I'm like, why do you love Game of Thrones? Because you get invested in the characters. And like, did any of you watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
So Hodor is a perfect example of like a pro wrestling character arc. In the very beginning, you don't really understand what this dude's all about. You're like, why does this dude only say this one word? Like, and like you said earlier, a lot of old wrestlers had a catchphrase that was one thing, and that's
Yeah.
what everybody knew. But as you learn more about Hodor, you start to feel for him. You start to feel sympathy for this guy because you're like, man, there's got to be something up with this dude,
Yeah.
And then once everything comes out about why he is the way he is and why that's the only thing he says, you finally get it. And then you're like, okay. And like the character story is like, you've reached the character arc.
Yes. Yeah.
So wrestling's no fucking different. Like, you have to tell the crowd like what you do, who you are,
Build the
and then you
story,
got to
yeah.
let them get invested in who you are and what you do. And I just think that people have this weird like, and I don't know if maybe like the rise of popularity in mixed martial arts is what's kind of caused this, but I feel like wrestling has like a weird
Stigma.
not a stigma, but we have this weird like expectation from people that like, we're fully aware of what we are and what we do. Like,
Right.
we're entertainment. We are playing a character to fans and providing you with entertainment, which is literally what movies and all that shit does. But then but nobody ever walks up to Brad Pitt and goes, man, that shit you do is fake.
Right.
Right.
Or
Right.
nobody ever, like I was telling her this the other day. I said, it's the weirdest thing how like a pro wrestler, like me as Sean Stereart, if I do something out of pocket as a wrestling character, the world will, like I could, if I did something out of pocket as a character, I could get crucified in real life.
Oh, yeah,
Taking
yeah,
a
yeah.
run with it.
Yeah, like they'll try to pin you to the wall because you did something shitty or you're a terrible person.
Yeah.
But if it's it could be done in character and you not think or feel that way at all. But how many people went up to Leonardo DiCaprio after Django Unchained and were like, "You're a piece of shit because you're a slave owner"?
Right.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Because it's not
Yeah,
real.
he's playing a
But you
character.
know what I'm saying? I just
Yeah.
think it's this weird thing that pro wrestlers are held to this like
standard,
that we for some reason have to give you all this real shit.
It's-
when,
You know where I think that kind of originates? I kind of originates in how globally popular wrestlers were pre like internet strength.
it's because now fans have access to us that they
yeah.
didn't before. That's
Exactly.
what I was kind of saying.
Yeah.
Like
Goddamn
back
social
in the
media.
day, back in
Social
when I was
media is powerful.
It is because
It's
when I
powerful.
was a kid, dude, I would see the Undertaker on TV, but I had no clue who the fuck Mark Calloway was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't know what Undertaker does when he's not he's
Right.
not wrestling. Nor
Right.
did I give a
Right.
shit
Yeah.
because I didn't care about him as a person. I cared about the Undertaker.
Exactly.
And
Let
it's
him live
just-
his life.
Yeah, but I
Right.
feel like now a lot of times fans get more they're more curious about what you're doing as a person as opposed to what you're presenting them on
Yeah.
a product.
You have to be your character much
They want-
more often.
well,
Yeah,
no,
they
they don't
want you to be
want
your
they don't want you
character
to
all
they
the
don't want
time.
you to be your character. They want to know you.
You be
That's like
okay.
It's
That's
like that
why,
in music too.
Yeah, but it's like
Yeah.
they want to like. Yeah, it's weird. It's,
It's crazy because like
that's a whole other.
It is. So my grandmother, rest in peace, she passed away during the pandemic. You know, COVID was a big part of it. But she went to her grave believing that professional wrestling was actually real, completely real.
God, I wish that still was a thing.
She did. She
I
literally.
wish people still felt that way.
Yeah, so yeah, we can dive down here for a second. So I wrestled amateur wrestling, high school wrestling. I did that, grew up doing that, and then I decided to focus on music and not continue through college. Went to school and did my thing. But the whole time she was fully believer. The wrestling was completely as it was. It was not staged of any sort. So that was her thought. To the point where my Uncle John, who was a wrestling coach, got me into it in the first place. She literally threatened, and he's a Boone County sheriff. He's a stand-up guy, but she's like, "I'll take you out of my will if you tell me that wrestling is fake again." And he's like, he's like, I actually wrestled high school, and he would give her a hard time, but like she was so intense. The fact that her John Cena, her Hollywood Hogan back then, like all these guys, they were them. That was
Yeah.
it. They weren't somebody, driving to work and then going home to their house. They were the wrestler 24/7, and she believed that to no avail. And I
There are some guys who are like.
Oh,
there
I'm
are
sure.
some
Oh, I'm
guys
sure.
who
I'm
are
sure.
walking, talking gimmicks.
I'm sure. Exactly.
Macho Man.
Randy Savage. Yeah.
Macho Man.
Exactly.
Was a
And-
walking gimmick, dude.
Right, and the fans at her level. We're talking. My grandma Pat, she was, older, and she was definitely all about wrestling. Grandma Pat, wrestling. If it was on Friday, she was there watching it, tuning in with her coffee, her drink, or whatever, her Coke, whatever.
Yeah.
She's watching it, tuned in every time. She never missed that episode. That's awesome, so awesome. She's old. I one Halloween, I wore the John Cena mask here, and I was like, "Grandma, can I take it?" It was like a kind of see-through mask,
Yeah.
and I took it. And George,
Well, of course it was. You can't see John Cena.
Exactly. We went to Queen City Radio. I wore my John Cena mask, and it was just a great time. But like the fact that she had all this swag, all this stuff that about the wrestlers, I was like, "That's awesome, Grandma." She's like, "Oh, your uncle gives me a hard time, but I love my wrestling." I was like, "I know you love your wrestling."
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's just Grandma Pat, rest in peace, love you. But it's amazing the fan passion. Like she's a fan. I'm not necessarily. I was growing up. I was a huge Sting fan. Like I loved the Wolfpack when that whole thing went down. Like there was just stuff to it I was a big fan of, but like her level, like she was kind of the reason I was into it. I think if I think back to the origination, she's like, "We're watching this." I'm like, "Okay," and they're fighting, and she's like, "This is cool. Your other wrestling, like that's okay, but this is the cool stuff. Watch them jump off the ropes."
The old
See, like-
WWF
Yeah, the
stuff.
stuff.
Hella swag.
The-
So
yeah.
who's your favorite
Yeah.
wrestler of all time. I think I heard you say it
Yeah.
earlier, but I'm
Razor Ramon.
Razor
Scott Hall.
Ramon.
Razor Ramon.
And that's
He was the one that was always hanging out with the thug kids on the street, bro.
Yeah, like-
he would take photos. He would have this shirt that was like unbuttoned with all this jewelry on,
The silk
with
shirt.
Oh, yeah.
hairy chest, bro. And he would have a toothpick in his mouth, and he would just be hanging out with all these
Hey,
kids from the
yo.
street, bro. Yeah. Just throw the toothpick
right in
at
the
him.
camera.
So is that like that was like the old WWF, right? Before they had
Yeah.
changed. Was that like as a kid your favorite?
Dude, that's my earliest memory, like memory of wrestling. I've watched it forever. Like I actually have so speaking of grandmas,
Hey, grandmas are the
my
best.
my grandma, she actually just passed away
Sorry
in
to hear that.
2021. But dude, she
They're
lived
probably up there hanging out,
listen,
bro.
dog, she lived
Yeah.
to be like almost 101, dude. So she lived
awesome.
she lived
Damn.
a killer life, man. And she
Hey,
was a
that's
rock
awesome.
star right there till the end.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But I actually have.
Rest in
She was
peace.
an artist, so I actually
Yeah,
have
okay.
a picture that my grandma made for me, and like down in the corner, it's got her signature in the year, and it's like 1992.
That's
So
awesome.
I was like 3 years old when she
Yeah,
made this
yeah.
for me, but it's like the Ultimate Warrior's body, but with my face with the face paint. So
Oh,
like
that's awesome,
so she
dude.
made me as the warrior when I was a
Oh.
kid.
It was predetermined, bro.
Yeah, but
That's
like-
awesome. That's a
but,
great piece.
I'll later on I actually have a picture in my phone of me like holding that picture next to her, like
Oh, that's
yeah,
tight.
and so but my earliest like memory of me like really being like this shit's cool was my mom when I was a little kid. I'm sitting at the kitchen table, and my mom had this little TV like in the kitchen that had like one of the little dials, you know, like the
Oh,
tiny
yeah.
little
Oh, the little
tiny TVs.
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sitting there like eating breakfast. She's doing dishes, and I'm like scrolling through it, and I find wrestling, and I just remember seeing Hey Yo. Heck, and then it's just, you know,
Yeah.
Scott Hall's cutting, or Razor Ramon at the time was cutting this super sweet, just cool guy promo, and I'm like, man, this guy is the coolest dude on the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like, I just remember thinking when I was a kid, like, I probably won't be, but I want to be that cool
Yeah,
someday.
yeah.
And like, and that just I think sparked my love for it. And then like, when Razor Ramon jumped ship to go to WCW, and then the whole NWO thing started and all that, like that was just so cool to me because like when I was
Against
a kid,
the grain, the NWO
because
was.
you know,
Yeah.
well at that time you had the Monday Night Wars where it was, you know, Raw was on one channel, and then you had Nitro on the other channel.
Right.
And I would watch Nitro the night of, and then I would like record on a blank VHS tape Raw, and then I'd watch that the next day because it was a
Oh.
school night, so I couldn't
Yeah,
watch
you
both.
couldn't. But yeah.
But like, it was always watch WCW as it happened, and then catch up on Raw the next night, and like, just having, brother, you are the assassin. No, so, but,
Sorry.
That assassin.
but
The Nat Assassin.
Oh.
the Nat assassin.
I got it.
Did I
You
get that
catch
one?
it?
I think I might have. Huh?
They just get in this.
No, it just flew away.
They just get this, like,
it
slow-
just flew out of your hand.
They just get this slow state and just.
But
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like I just think all of, and then I have pictures from when I was a kid of like my like me sitting at the dining room table with like all of my wrestling figures like in one ring in front of me. And,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh man.
So dude, it's something I've loved so much forever, and now like getting to do that, and then also getting to like, one of you said it earlier that like how much like kids love this, and like there's just something super special about like when I'm at an event and I'm like at my merch table at intermission and stuff, and I have a little dude walk up to the table and just like looking at me.
Starstruck.
Yeah, like, because in the grand scheme of things, like, you know, I think back on, because like when I was real little like that, I never went to wrestling. You know, like when I was real little, like my family didn't have a lot of money and stuff, so like I didn't get to go see live wrestling.
Right.
But I just like, I know that if it would have been me, I would have had that same reaction.
For sure.
Like just looking up and just being like, holy shit.
Right.
But
right.
like, and then knowing that I'm getting to give that feeling, or like when a kid comes up and like asks me to sign a poster or something, like that's just such a cool thing, because
Yeah.
like I know how stoked I would have been at that age to be to be like, and also too how nervous,
Right.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
'cause
yeah.
that happens a lot too, like.
Yeah, you
little
see
will
kids that
come
are
up
just
and they're
like starstruck, yeah.
and they're just nervous to talk to you and stuff. But like, that's really why why we do this, because a lot of what we do is very selfish, because like we get to be the superstar, and like when we're in the ring, it's like all eyes on us, and people are cheering for us or booing us, whichever the situation calls for.
Yeah.
But then when we get to do something that kind of gives back, like there's just something super special about that, man, because like you get like a feeling that this person cared enough about what you bring to the table to even make it worthwhile. Like,
for sure.
For them to show up in the first place.
So like just recently, like my girlfriend and I, we had a Zoom call with a guy who was going through chemo treatments.
Oh.
He's a special needs guy who's going through chemo, and one of his family friends reached out to me and was like, hey, like, is there any way that you could like send this guy a message just to like,
Encouragement.
encouragement.
Yeah.
And then her and I were both, like, of course we would love to do that, because it's like the fact that somebody cared enough to, about what we do to even ask that of us.
Right.
That's like, it's very humbling. And
I mean,
very,
that's
like,
that's part of the job, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
which is one of the reasons why you need to get that TikTok going. Maybe
Yeah.
we should have the girlfriend solidify that
handle?
that Lord Crewe handle. Yeah.
You on it over there? No, she's not even
But
paying
but
attention.
that's one of those things, man, where it's like, maybe that's the hidden ticket to getting to the next stage is making sure that you are the Razor Ramon of this generation, where you're going out and giving back
Inspiring
and
the youth.
inspiring the youth, man, because that's something that we're very aware of here. We got these 10-year-old kids that come in all the time. They run right to the white room. They don't say hi to us anymore, but we've got to accommodate these kids, right? Because they don't have any money right now, but in 3 to 5 years, as long as we still keep letting them come in, and as long as we still say hi to them and how's school going, and what's your favorite subject, they're gonna keep coming back and talking to us, right? So it's like, and as soon as they do have money, like, we're gonna be the first person on their mind.
And that's like, in saying that too, like there was a kid who used to attend. This is when I was very early in my wrestling. I was going down to Lexington area like once a week and doing shows down there to get reps and,
Putting in that work.
Yeah, and there was this one kid there that I was his number one, right?
That's awesome.
And his guardian reached out to me, and she was like, hey, he's slipping in school. He won't listen to anybody. Is there any way that you could make just like a little brief video just asking him to like make sure he's doing his schoolwork and like get his grades up? And I'm like, man, my grades sucked, so I kind of feel like a bit of a hypocrite, but yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, you learn, you grow, you know that
shit like that. Like, if a kid's willing to listen to me
over his own
parents, like that's like there's so much power in that, and it's like it's almost scary sometimes to think that in certain situations we do have that kind of
power.
Yeah.
But that's the cool thing, man, is like the fact that you're in your own lane, like digging away, like you're just trying to pave your own path.
Yeah.
And you look up and you look around, and there's people that are cheering you on, like while you're sitting there digging, bro. You're like, all I'm doing is digging a road right now.
Yeah,
and you're looking around and people are cheering you on, or they're keep doing it. So it's like things like that just keep it fuels the fire to keep you going, but also like it keeps you humble, man, because that's one of those things where, as a kid, like you were saying, that was if Razor Ramon would have told you to like you're going to be the greatest WWE fighter of all time, 5 years of your life you're going to dedicate to making sure that you're the greatest fighter of all time, because Razor Ramon is waiting for you to get to the top of the food chain.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that those are those things where you don't realize the little things that you say to a 10-year-old kid have that much of an impact, man.
Yeah, well, not even just kids, man, but like I read a quote kind of recently, and it really put some things into perspective, like because, and I'm sure my girlfriend can attest to this as well, because she's been doing this twice as long as I have. But, you know, when people come up, you know, like you're in different cities all the time. You're, you know, there's some times where you might only hit a town one time. You know, it might just come in for a one-off. And a lot of people will approach your merch table and, you know, they'll have that interaction with you. I read a quote from Ronnie James Dio, and it said, when it comes to fan interactions, it said, that interaction is something that you won't remember tomorrow, but they're never going to forget. And I took that as like, you know, make sure that all these interactions that you have are positive, because
sure.
you don't want, I try so hard to, like, every time somebody takes the time out of their day to come approach me and, like, let me know that they appreciate what I do or that they enjoyed my match, or, you know, because sometimes
you got to be on the clock.
Yeah, but, like, you know, and sometimes if you got a little bit of a line at your table and somebody's like, you know, talking,
speed it up,
yeah,
speed
and
it
I'm
up,
just kind of like, you know, like, but at the same time though, that moment in time is
That's
valuable
all they
to that
get.
person. That's
all
yeah.
they
So
get.
it's like I've tried to take that and be patient, and also to, like, I had a really stupid story from my childhood that also kind of put this into perspective, because have you ever been big leagued by somebody that you wanted to meet, like, you know, like,
Oh yeah, Bo Jackson.
yeah, you know who mine was? The guy in the fucking Chuck E. Cheese costume. I was
What?
I was at a birthday party when I was a little kid, right?
Detail,
and the
yeah.
guy in the mouse costume's like out,
Yeah.
like, you know, hanging out, high-fiving people and shit. And I'm like, oh my God, there he is. I start going up to, like, high-five him, and he just turns his back and walks in the back.
Oh, damn.
And I was like, no. Like, what?
Right.
And I never want to make somebody feel that way, that
Yeah.
son of a bitch in the rat costume made me feel that day.
Right.
So, like,
That's the truth, though.
Yeah.
No, you're right. That's hilarious. That they just the rat costume, bro. You're gone. You're my motivation.
he
at
was
this point
probably
forward.
some, like, pimply faced, like, 16-year-old kid going into the back, pulling the head off, like, God
Like-
damn, it's hot out there. Give me a
Right.
slice of pizza. Like, and I'm just like,
it's not
but
even my
I'm out
shift,
there
bro.
I'm out there just heartbroken.
Right, but
That
that's
little
what
son of a bitch rode his mongoose home and flew on his Sega Genesis.
He's like, it's not even my shift, bro. I came in for Bobby, and he's not here, and I got these people chasing me at the door, like, and you're.
He's probably out back, like, by the dumpster smoking
a
a cigarette with the
cigarette,
head
yeah.
off, and, like, and I'm in there crying, like.
That's hilarious. That's a great start though. Yeah,
Yeah, I like to.
Yeah.
That's a story I'd
But
like to
that- but
forget
that- but
about, but I never will. But that's
No,
my
but that's-
point.
That's
but that's
cool.
I
also,
will never forget how I felt that day.
Exactly.
And I don't want, and I never want to be the guy that makes some fan
Yeah.
feel that way, like I didn't have the time for them. You know
Right,
what I mean?
and
Yeah.
that's the thing, man. It could be 30 seconds. So, you know what I mean? Like you got to be like on the clock when that shit happens, because it's
Sure.
like, you know, you never like even here, man. When kids come in, if I'm not
Well,
wearing the
engaging.
eye patch, bro, like
Yeah.
I like hide real quick to put it on, because it's like a lot of these kids, they know the story, and it's like, especially if they go into the white room, if they go into the lab and they hear the story of the mad scientist, and they come out and they only see this guy with a regular eye and a wacky eye. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like wearing the eye patch all the time, but I've got to play the character, man. Like, when I'm
Yeah,
on clock.
dude, it's
You
like
know.
it's very it's similar, because like when I'm at shows and like I'm at my merch
Oh,
table,
bitch.
I don't like being out there
I'll
in
get
street
it.
clothes. Like I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
having my gear
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
or like, because I wear like a denim vest with like the biker patches on it and stuff. I'm always wearing that at my table, because like
I'm
that's
glad-
what they recognize with my presentation. And like I'm sure the eye patch is a similar thing, you know, like
I've
it's
never
the gimmick, you know.
I've never heard like the guy with the eye patch, but I'm sure that's my calling,
Yeah,
right?
I've heard
well, for me, it's
I've
always,
heard
I've never heard it.
I've heard
thing that I always
not
get
one
is-
time, but it's like the guy with the glasses, or the guy with the beard. No, the guy.
I
with
get the
eye
guy with the
patch.
beard all the time.
Yeah.
That's mine.
But
man.
so I'm glad you brought up the outfit, right? So do you know a guy named Sarath, or the girlfriend's gone? So he
Huh.
was.
She walked off.
So he's the guy that does all of the outfits for the WWE. Sarath, his Mike Kazak.
She
She's
knows
not.
who he is.
She's not in her
She
head.
knows
Yeah.
who he is.
Yeah, so he's. Yeah, he's.
Oh, okay. Then I do know who he is. Yeah.
You just said. Sasha Banks' ex. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I do know who he is. I've met him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine, man. So it's really cool seeing somebody like that, which he's like a mentor of mine, even though he doesn't know it, because this dude is putting together like amazing outfits, right? And it's and when it comes to the WWE, your outfit is your persona, right? So he's got to nail it. He's got to make sure that the Ronda Rousey outfit's fire, or when Jake Paul came to the WWE, that his shit is fire. And like this guy is like he's thankfully he's a friend of mine, but like seeing where he is and how he has to like he's got to put on every single time, like the stuff that he has to put together, it can't be half-assed, and it's got to be put together well, because you guys are getting fucking slammed on the ground where
gotta be
fucking
durable.
seams
Yeah.
can't fall
Yeah,
apart
it's
and
gotta be
shit.
durable.
So like Sarath, man, like I love him for being as valuable as he is, but he's on like the background of the WWE, right? Like, you know, he's
not on camera.
He's
but
not on
he's
camera,
a
but
very
he is
important
so-
cog in the wheel.
100% a
Yeah.
cog in the wheel, bro,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So like, you know, when it comes to those things, like when it comes to the outfit, like what does your outfit look like, and like what's your favorite piece? Is it is it something that can we call Sarath and get you a doper outfit, right? Like can we make it happen?
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, he's the man.
Yeah.
When it comes to creating stuff, that dude is on the top of the food chain, man.
So I mean, I have a couple different sets of gear. That
Shout
I
out
wear.
to the girlfriend for
Yeah.
knowing, and which is funny too, because like no one even really knows that like him and Sasha broke up. Like you can tell online because they're fighting over the dog and whatnot. But it's like it's one of those things, man, where it's like, you know,
Well, yeah, you gotta maintain that professionalism,
bro. You've
and,
got
yeah.
all the eyes on you now. So it's like, even though you're going through all this heartache, and your best friend, you're in the same skit as your best friend still. You know, or maybe not. I don't think Sasha's a part of the WWE right now, right?
Well, last time I heard, she was not.
She's not. She's promoting weed and stuff now. But
She's just not a current character.
fighter, yeah. So, you know, and those are the things too, man, that, you know, when you get to the top of the food chain, because Sasha Banks was top
Up
of the
there,
food
yeah,
chain.
like
So
main
like,
eventer, yeah.
and you know, you never know, like when you know, especially when it comes to the WWE, because they're not gonna. It's not like the UFC where you're just on top till someone knocks you off. You know, this is one of those things where it's not a game, but it's a strategy, right? Where everyone's got their moment to shine, and you know, as soon as your moment is ready to shine, you gotta fucking capitalize and make sure that you grab as many fans as you can and grab as many like eyeballs, and you want to make sure that people are cheering for you by the end of the night. And that's gotta be one of those, like, another disheartening thing, or like something to get over, is like you want everybody to be cheering for you, right? But when Matt Hardy walks into the ring, and you know, it's like, Matt Hardy's here, like I want to fucking cheer for this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's coming here like I want to be like, yeah, but it's like, okay, this is my opponent right now. So it's like there's got to be so many things that go through your head, like minutes before you actually like engage in this battle that you guys are gonna do in front of thousands of people, man. That like, and it like Andrew said, it's all tunnel vision. So it's like everything kind of closes down, and everything just kind of like, your ears may go mute because you're in the middle of it, and you're like.
So for me, I wouldn't say my ears go mute, because I think a very important part of what we do is we do need to listen to the crowd, because the crowd a lot of the time is telling us what is working, what's not working.
Okay,
like if we're
that's
in
awesome
there,
to know.
if we're in there doing stuff and we're not getting any sort of a reaction for it.
You're gonna reset?
We might need to call an audible here. You know what I mean? Like, go with a different game plan, because clearly whatever we're doing isn't resonating with them.
Does that happen in wrestling? Like
does.
where you guys are like fucking.
But that's where your training and stuff needs to come into play. Like, you need the more trained you are, and the more equipped you are to handle those kind of situations, the better off you're going to be, because like there's been times where, you also, like, wrestling's weird too because fans act differently in different areas. Like, oh, brother, you put another stain on the couch.
I know. I was just
Or on
trying.
the chair.
I was literally trying to just get in the back of his photo. Yeah. There it
But,
is.
like, so, like, down in the South, like, those fans down there are going to want to see different things than guys like a Philly crowd.
Right.
Like, or it's strange, because there's different things that different regions like to see, like.
And you guys know that, going to when you guys go to Alabama, you're like, these guys are more fans of this.
You can get kind of a feel of, and especially like it's hard when you're at a place for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I bet.
So sometimes,
Yeah.
and also too, like that's difficult. Like if you're somebody like me who's trying to,
Work
make
up
a
the
name
food
for
chain.
yourself, if I'm going into a place in
With
a
them
different
cheers.
state, no, well, not even just that, but like you have to dictate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like a lot of times, like I like being the bad guy. It's because
Someone's got to play it.
well, what I tell people all the
True.
time is it easier to like somebody or is it easier to dislike somebody? Like if you meet a person that you've never met before, and this is like me being a wrestler coming through a curtain in a new place for the first time, if it's going to be a lot harder for me to make you like me because in order to like somebody, you got to feel them out. You got to build a little bit of trust with them.
Yeah.
You got to get to know them a little bit. All it takes is somebody to walk through a curtain, or if you're sitting at a bar and some guy walks in and he's just like, fuck everyone in this place. You're like, all right, that guy's a dick.
Yeah.
Boo. Like, so
Right.
it's much easier to make people not like you than it is to make them like you.
And when they
So-
when they boo you and you just start laughing at them and they like laugh like going like haha
Yeah, you can just-
you
yeah.
can play it
bro,
on
you
you can rile them up.
You just did this move, and I immediately thought of fucking Soda Popinski from Mike Tyson's Punch Out. After he knocks you out, he puts his hands on the side of his body and he just laughs at you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. As they're booing you, you laugh in their face, and they're gonna boo you more. And at the end of the thing, like, man, that guy was actually a dope, like, villain, and then they'll look you up, man.
See, like, kind of, yeah. Sometimes
It
what'll
works in your
happen too,
favor.
though, like, and it's
Hulk
and like
Hogan,
again,
NWO,
Have you
turned
ever
into a
seen
villain.
movie? Have
It's
you ever
true.
seen the movie Jingle All the Way with Arnold
With
Schwarzenegger?
Schwarzenegger.
and
Oh.
Sinbad?
Yeah.
That's a perfect representation.
Turbo
of what you're
Man.
talking about.
Turbo Man.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
that's
kept
Yeah.
running
I missed
into-
that one.
They kept
Oh,
running
it's a good
into
one.
each
It's a
other
good one.
throughout the whole movie. Like
yeah.
they looking for the Turbo Man.
They're looking for the
and
Turbo Man,
They
yeah.
ran into each other at the mall. They ran into each other at the radio station. Then they end up like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's Turbo Man. You feel
Yeah,
me?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then Sinbad's like
They're
the
fighting on
villain.
the float.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That
that's-
movie funny as hell.
That movie's
That's-
wild.
but
Yeah,
that's what
that's
I was saying, though,
it's
like,
good.
It
Perfect
takes,
representation.
it
the
takes,
last toy. The last toy.
You know,
yeah.
friendships and liking
And the dad
somebody
ended up coming to-
requires, nurturement and like you know what I mean? Like I've had friends who have been my friends for years, but all it would take is one fucked up thing to ruin all of it.
Yeah.
Bro,
And then they don't
that's-
like me anymore.
That is.
And that's why, like, that's actually one of the most rewarding things in professional wrestling is when you are the good guy and all these fans love you and, they cheer huge for you every time you walk through the curtain. And then you do that one dastardly deed that just
You just
turns them
transfer
all on
the,
you.
to the
Yeah. And
they're
NWO, and all of a sudden everybody hates
You son
Hulk
of a
Hogan.
bitch! How could you do this to us?
It's the most excellent feeling
It's
ever.
it's crazy. Like I still remember because like I was a big fan of the WWF, right? Like so I should have told you this earlier, man. Captain Lou Albano,
Uh-huh.
that's my cousin. How crazy
Really?
is that? Yeah, like literally like beard like.
Yeah, I know
At,
exactly
at,
what you're
at,
saying. That's crazy.
at one point, like I wanted to grow the beard with the rubber band,
Yeah.
like, and I look so terrible, bro. Like I got like a catfish mustache. And my wife was like, "Don't ever do that shit again. Don't ever look like that again."
Dude, you
but
know
like
what's so-
at one point, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be Captain Lou Albano's like cousin that's coming up the food chain as a clothing designer is like, nah, that shit ain't gonna work right at all.
You know what's so crazy though? It's like I feel like I've been meeting a lot of people lately who do have like some just weird familial ties to wrestling.
Yeah.
Like the guy that cuts my hair, like his cousin was Ravishing Rick Rude.
Oh shit!
Like just it's such like a random thing, but like because he's not even a wrestling fan really. Like he's like, oh yeah, he's like my mom's cousin used to do that, and I'm like, oh, well, who is it? And he's like, oh, his name's like Rick Rude. I'm like, what?
What?
Like
Ravishing Rick
I was
Rude?
expecting him to say like, oh yeah, my uncle was Crazy Carl. He used to
Crazy
wrestle at the
Carl.
Armory downtown, you know.
Right,
like,
yeah.
right,
but
right.
no, I was like, oh fuck, you're Ravishing Rick Rude was your cousin. That's pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, dude. So like I grew up in Chicago, man, and I still remember I might have been 10 years old, and I drew a photo for Fox. It was like this morning show before I was going to like elementary school, I think, man. But like I drew a photo, and I ended up winning tickets to go see the body bag match. It was The Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan in the body bag match. And this was like, it was in Chicago at the Rosemont Center, so it was super fire anyways. And I was living in Chicago at the time. So like 10 years old, I'm going to school, and in Fox, like this little morning show comes up, and like my photo gets, whatever I drew comes up, and like, hey, this guy won 2 tickets to the body bag match. And like at the time, like all WWF is real to me, right?
Yeah,
So like I go to Rosemont, and I've got these great tickets. I'm seeing Hulk Hogan fight the Ultimate Warrior in the body bag match, and Hogan wins, and the Ultimate Warrior gets dropped in the body bag, and like me, like 10 years old, I'm like, he's dead. They zipped him up in the body bag, right? Like he's in there now. And then after all the cameras cut away, this fucking bag, just the way that he raised up, he did like this.
Yeah.
And it scared me to death as a 10-year-old kid, bro. Like whatever,
Coming
whatever.
back to
Like
life.
yeah, because it was like I'm thinking to myself, he can't breathe in that. Like he can't.
He can't breathe.
They zipped it up all the way, and I'm 10 years old, so I like I've got no statistics on like fucking human consumption
Right.
or like losing air.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's in a bag.
He's dead.
He's dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like when all the lights cut off and like everything happens, all of a sudden like
Said the
like
bag moved
and
up
it
like
wasn't
that.
like I don't even think it was on air. I think that was afterwards, right? Where like the Ultimate Warrior just raises the front half of his body up. And it was like somebody raising the dead, bro. It was the craziest thing.
I mean,
as
it
a
was the Undertaker.
10-year-old.
True.
I was like, and the pallbearer, bro. Like the pallbearer was so dope. Like during the whole match, this little he looks like the guy from he looks like Guru, the Guru from the Minions. What's in the Guru?
Oh,
He looks like Guru from the Minions. Right, like, and this guy's just walking around the octagon, just like trying to get the crowd hyped.
Yes.
Right?
Dude, when I just went and voted, like a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
there was some dude working at my polling location that looked dead on pallbearer.
Oh,
and I
shit.
kept wanting to say something to him, but I'm like, man, if he doesn't know what I'm talking about, he's gonna just think I'm an asshole.
Oh, I'm
So,
sure
like,
he's gotten it before.
I'm
There's
sure he's
no
gotten it
way.
before. Yeah.
So like on my way out, I just went, oh yeah, and like, and he didn't get it, so I was like,
No, definitely doesn't know. Then that's funny, man.
That's funny.
Because that's exactly how he was. He was all like white face with like the
black eye
charcoal
makeup,
eyes.
yeah.
Bro, and that was one of those things, man, where it's like the WWF back in the day, you know, like Bam Bam Bigelow and
Oh, yeah.
like the Bash Brothers. They would just come out and they would
no, the Bushwhackers.
Bushwhackers, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just like that's all they had to do to get notoriety, bro. It was
Yeah.
just like you had to have like one stigma.
A stick. Just
Yeah.
had to have a thing.
Things were so much simpler then.
Yeah.
So
now you
not-
have this a
no
thing, a
TikTok
social
back
media, a story behind you, why you are who you are, where did you start? Back then it was just, woo!
I mean, right? Well,
Literally.
Well, back then it was get you to the top of the food chain, and then we'll get your fan base.
Yeah, once you get the
now
platform.
it's have your fan base down here, and then we'll get you to the
Show you're
the
good enough.
limelight.
Yeah,
Show you're
it
good enough.
was-
We'll give you a fan base. Now you have to get a fan base and then prove you're good enough. It's
completely
it was
ass backwards.
opposite. Yeah,
Such
opposite.
a-
Yeah.
It
I don't
was,
think
but-
it's a wrong or right way to do it. I mean,
It's just a different culture we're in.
there
The
is
internet
no
has changed
wrong or-
everything.
There's
yeah.
no wrong or right way to. I mean, well, I guess there can be a wrong way, but like, there are just a lot of different avenues. I guess is a good way to put it. There's a lot of different ways to get to where you want to be. But I feel like, again, it's just much different times. Like, it was a lot harder to even just get into wrestling back then.
Oh,
like, now there's multiple wrestling training schools in every city in America, it feels like. And, you know, anybody can go sign up to get trained. But, you know, like, back then you had to know somebody to even get your foot in the door in the first place. Like, Hogan got his leg broken in training, like,
Oh,
because
shit.
they were like, back then they would try to break you.
Yeah.
Like, literally they would try to they didn't want you around if you weren't tough enough to handle it. And like, there was a lot of, you know, I guess you could call it hazing, but like, they would rough you up to make sure that
hazing's probably a good probably a
make
good
sure
representation of it.
you wanted it. Like, because if you were willing to come show up to training, getting your just ass beat for hours on end, and then you kept coming back, that meant you wanted it.
Right.
But I just think, like, just things are just so different now, and I don't know. I'm not saying that I would have made it back then, because I mean, it was fucking hard, and it's still hard, but I just think it's a different kind of.
It's a different kind of hard.
Different kind of tough.
I didn't even know about that. You know what I'm saying? Because whoever's watching, they probably don't even know about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I don't know. I try to listen up on, like, you know, wrestling history and stuff like that, because I am intrigued of those who came before me, and, you know, those who paved the way. And, you know, I try to listen to, you know, because there's a lot of old wrestlers and old wrestling personalities who have podcasts and stuff, and that's what I like to listen to, because it gives their perspective on things.
Yeah.
And they all might have a little bit different perspective on things.
Right.
Because I love this so much, and I want to be good, and I want to excel, and I want to get to that next level, I try to listen to opinions of those who came before me, whether I agree with it or not, but
Right,
I want to at least hear why they feel the way they do about it. Like,
hear their truth.
Yeah,
exactly.
So like, there's some guys who, you know, will do commentary on their podcast on, like, current stuff, and they'll say, like, you know, here was this segment, here's what happened, here's why it sucked, or here's why it was really good. And I listen to that because you can take bits and pieces away from the stuff that you find value in, but you might hear stuff, because sometimes, too, guys can be out of touch. You know, they were relevant 25, 30 years ago.
Sure,
And they might be a little bit out of touch with how things are now. But I think wrestling psychology's universal and timeless. You know, like, it's still gonna, a lot of it still applies, and a lot of it will always apply.
Yeah.
But I just think that there's always room to learn from those who did it before you, and I think it's very important to keep an open mind and your ears open to. I guess criticism is a word, but just being open to new ideas, or I think if you just block it out, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Right.
Because
I was gonna say growth happens with new perspective. So when you're putting yourself out of, so these wrestlers that are come before you, they put themselves in uncomfortable positions to get to their point where they're at. And you're in an uncomfortable position in many different facets. I mean, we talked to TikTok. That's a new thing. You know what I mean? Like, and you might have to dive in there to push yourself, to elevate yourself even further. So they didn't have to deal with those kind of obstacles, because social media wasn't as big back in the. I mean, it wasn't existent in the 90s. So like, we're in this new era, and I think the old heads, they don't necessarily get the social media end of things, maybe, because it's just the way it is, but they do understand wrestling, and they do understand a crowd and how to rile up a crowd, how to be the bad guy, how to be the good guy, how to be the guy that's going to, like, you know, put his ear out and hear the boos and hear the shouts, and know how to react to get more out of that moment.
Times have changed, but human emotions haven't.
Exactly. It's how you make you feel. It's not about what people say or what they do. It's how they make you feel, and that's how they remember you. And I think that old heads, they knew how to do that because they didn't have that social media to kind of like
Aid them.
aid them or highlight. Yeah, what's up?
With that being said, I think you in a good spot for real, because like, I mean, like you said, you paid attention to like the ones before you, so you know what I'm saying, student of the game.
Sure.
You got little kids looking up to you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Bro, like you in the perfect spot, bro. Like you right there with the people. You
Yeah.
literally like you in that middle ground area.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree with that.
You feel me?
Yeah.
You know about the OGs that did it before you, the little kids looking up to you. You feel me? Like you in a good spot, bro. Like,
Yeah, man. I
that
hope
TikTok, I ain't
you're
gonna lie, You
right.
gotta hop on that TikTok, though. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Yeah, you
I'll
gonna
give it
have
my
to.
best. I'll look. I'll give it a try.
Give it an effort.
You heard it here first. I'm gonna give it.
Yes,
a
sir.
try.
Give it
Maybe
an
she
effort.
can run it for you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, no,
you know
she's
what I'm
busy
saying?
enough.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't have TikTok either.
Oh damn.
But she's also got over 100,000 Instagram followers and stuff. So she's got it on other places.
IG Reels.
Yeah, I've actually made a little bit of money off Reels. Actually, I just got paid the other day. I was like,
Pretty much like TikTok.
You got paid off
It's on
Reels?
IG.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you gotta-
it wasn't
see, you gotta
a
keep
bunch
it
of
rolling.
money, but it was something.
I mean that's the.
it was
I mean,
shit I was gonna do for free anyways.
Right, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter how much; it's the fact that you're being acknowledged and getting that, you know, recoup of your time and effort. I think a big part of social media success is. Someone said the other day, I was talking to him. Jay mentioned him earlier, and he was talking about everyone is worried about the algorithm and how we can break through the algorithm. Like Facebook throttles your post so no one can see it. Different obstacles we're dealing with now with the new change of the algorithm. But he posted it as keep an algorithm instead of algorithm. Use the word audience. So it's knowing your audience will get your post going in the right direction. If you just throw stuff out there, but as your situation, you know that there's an audience that's going to be geared to you specifically. So if you keep on that and you consistency, I don't think you can lose. I know social media is difficult, but if you were to like be persistent, no matter what, you're going to win because you're still going to do your performances. But let's say you don't have to even be the person to record it. They just record you doing you. And you post that up, and that's content.
Yeah.
You cut that into 10 different things.
Pool
You've got
clips or matches and stuff.
Yeah, you just have someone film you, and you can get all your content. You don't have to worry about it. Bro, I'll come to a match and I'll film you. I mean, you don't have to. You can ask me.
And,
That's
and
cool.
to back you up on what you were saying.
Yeah.
To back you up on what you were saying, like how you said, like back in the day, you know what I'm saying, you had to have your foot through the door, you know what I'm saying, whatever. And like now it's like they want you to already have, you know what I'm saying, well, I ain't gonna say they want you to already have a following, but it just helps. So
Oh,
that's
it definitely
pretty much
helps.
what he's saying.
Yeah.
The audience, you know, that's your, I don't like to use the word cult, but that's like your cult fan base. You feel me? So and they go ride with you. So
Yeah.
hey, you feel me? Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's just to back up what Drew was talking about.
And that's also part of it too. Is you have your personal like fan base, but the other wrestlers that are coming in, you can. I'm sure you take some of their fan base with you. You become integrated, and especially like going against like Matt Hardy, for example. Like we talked about him earlier. And he's definitely a highlight to this episode for sure. And like because that's an awesome match that you got to experience. But like his fan base is probably such a diverse world. There has to be people that jump on board with you and just continue on.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that because after the match, I mean, he tagged me in a couple things and just getting some of the residual follows and interactions and stuff just from what trickled down from his post and stuff.
That is awesome.
So that was, yeah. Again, like I said, that was also freaking surreal.
You
Like
screenshot as much as you can, right?
I just
you
it's up
should.
here. I know
You
it's
was in the moment.
I know what
Like,
happened.
I know, but I
Yeah.
know there's
Like,
nothing like looking back, like when you've beyond like at the beginning stages and you've made it to thing, looking back to what started everything and gotten you to where you are. Like
I got the match graphic.
that's
That's
all
what's
you mean.
important.
That's
I got
all.
the match
Oh,
graphic.
that's
Yeah,
key.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
enough. That's enough. It's just that throwback to like just sitting when you're sitting in the bed at the end of the night. You're like, this is why I'm here. And you're looking around and everything. You're sitting in all your moment of pride and everything. Just be like, man,
I mean,
without
dude,
these moments,
I love those moments.
this moment.
And I get to have those moments. Like, I feel like those moments are starting to occur more and more, you know, because like I said, I find myself sometimes in situations where I just think to myself, like, how in the fuck did I get here?
Yeah.
Or, you know, like if I'm sitting at, and another thing I've tried to get better about too is like to not take anything for granted. Like,
For sure.
this was a couple weeks ago. I had to be at the airport at like 5 a.m. to go out to California, and I'm all tired and shit. And I'm sitting there like, oh, fuck. But then I'm like, you know what? 2-3 years ago, no one had ever flown me anywhere, and I was begging for this type of treatment. You know what I mean? Like, and I was begging for these types of situations, and now like
This is real.
and then so I kind of like I checked myself in my own head. I was like, you know, don't complain about being tired. Because you're complaining that you're tired, but like again, a couple years ago, you were like fiending to have people see the value in you, to fly you somewhere, to use you on their product, and to give you television reps and stuff. So it's like, no. So I had to check myself. I was like, go buy a Starbucks, you'll be all right.
Yeah,
you know,
you checked yourself. Yeah.
So like,
Again,
it's
that's privilege.
Yeah,
that's
it
privilege.
is. It's very much
it's
a privilege.
Like, recognizing that privilege.
Every time I get to step in a ring is a privilege, because this is one of those things that could get taken away from us at any moment. Like, it's like I was saying earlier, when we get into these matches, I'm literally trusting another human being with my health and well-being.
Yeah.
It's like there's been times where I've had some close calls, like, you know, I've been dropped on my head. I've been, you know, like I had a real bad knee injury that required surgery once.
During a fight?
Yeah, ruptured my patella tendon.
Ooh.
So I like detached my quad from my shin, and like I couldn't like straighten my leg out because there was nothing there to like put tension on that muscle.
Oh wow.
So like I had to have like emergency surgery, like, and I was out for like 6 months. But that was an eye opener too, that like, don't take this shit for granted, because and you never know when an injury might happen that, you know, could be it.
Right.
And there's been plenty of guys and girls who have had their careers yanked from them prematurely because, you know, some slip up happened.
Injuries, Yeah. If anyone thinks this is fake, just Google Owen Hart. You know what I mean? He was one of those that gave it all for the.
Owen Hart, man. He was one of my favorites too.
That's such a.
He was one of my favorites.
I don't know that much about him, man.
He fell from a rafter, right? Like they were bringing him down from a rafter.
He was coming down from the ceiling like on a cable, right? Yeah. And something went wrong. Cable snapped, and he fell from the ceiling, hit his head on the turnbuckle, and he died in the ring, like in front of a stadium full of people.
And he's got a brother, Bret Hart, that's literally like they were like the duo, right? So it was like the two of them together. So like legit brothers, and one of them died, you know, trying to do what he loves, which is crazy, man. Yeah,
and there's a story surrounding that whole situation that really puts into perspective how like heartbreaking that all was. The commentator Jim Ross, I know he's definitely talked about it. I don't know I think he may have wrote it in a book too, but he was on, him and Jerry the King Lawler were the commentary team of that evening, and you know, everything happened. They, you know,
it was televised live.
Yeah, and it was on a pay-per-view. So while they were tending to him in the ring, like with the EMTs and stuff, they started just pulling guys to have them talk in front of camera just to kill time. So they were like, you know, just pulling guys like, hey, we need you to cut a minute-long promo while, you know, to kill time while we take care of this.
Yeah.
Well, like a little bit later in the show, you know, the commentators wear headsets, and they're getting fed, you know, like what to say in certain situations. And they said, hey, we need you to give an update on Owen. And Jim Ross said, I don't have an update on Owen. They said, he's dead, and we're back in 5.
Jesus Christ.
So, like, Jim Ross had to process
in 5
seconds that one of his friends and coworkers is now gone.
And you got to announce that to the world.
Announce that to the world while holding your composure and like having a camera pointed in your face. Like
right.
that-
And
that
still keep the
is-
show going because
yeah,
this
that-
is only halfway through the pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's just such like
That's crazy.
a crazy thing to try to think. Like, it's hard for me to process that. Like,
Right.
I couldn't imagine being told that and then just having to be like on, you know, because I mean, even for me, like this was before. So this was my first opportunity with AEW. You know, that was a big deal to me. And,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
It is a big deal in
100%.
general
Without
to all of
going-
us. I think.
yeah,
I think.
with-
Yeah. I mean,
without going too much into detail, like
go into details.
Well, I will, but not.
Yeah, sure.
So I lost my father when I was 9 years old.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
my dad passed when I was a kid, and
I believe I believe I knew that. I believe I knew that. Yeah.
yeah. But right before I went out for my first AEW opportunity, like I just took a second to like, you know,
Process everything.
yeah. Well, and I was kind of like, you know, like.
taking it all
You know,
in.
here's to you, old man. Like, hope
Yeah.
you're watching. You know, something like
Yeah,
that. And I
yeah.
started getting choked up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, fuck, I got to go out in front of thousands of people, like, get it together. Like,
Yeah,
you know, so
yeah,
like,
yeah.
because I started like getting emotional and I had to like pull it together
Get back in your head.
now. Like,
Now,
yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
now, or else I'm going to be going out there with tears in my
A
eyes and I
mess,
can't
so-
do that.
Yeah,
you know?
cameras on you, man.
Yeah, I can't do it. Like,
and their
so-
phones are on you too.
Yeah,
like
so it was one of
zoomed
those things
in,
where
yeah.
like I started getting emotional, but then I had to like snap out of it real fast. And it's just so crazy that we're conditioned to like be able to
Switch it on
block
and
that
off.
shit out sometimes.
You got to
like,
go from Sean Stereart to Lord Crewe, real quick.
real quick. And we were like, I have a buddy who we were at a show one time, and he got a text message that a buddy of his died, and like he still had to do his match and shit.
Yeah.
So, and you know what I mean? Just like, wrestling can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
you know,
But again-
especially when you're entertaining so many people. It's not like, you know,
It's-
these people really know about your day to day. They don't know that your dog is sick or
Not
that
only
your
that,
dad
but a lot
died.
of times they don't give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck,
because
but-
they're paying to see Lord Crewe. They're not paying to see Sean Stereart. So
100%,
it's like,
bro.
you know, so they don't
Yeah.
give a fuck about what's going on in your life.
Yeah,
most.
don't-
I mean,
they came here
sometimes
to
they
see
do,
Lord
but
Crewe.
but in the grand scheme of things, like those people paid their hard-earned money to be entertained and to see, you know, what was advertised. So
Yeah.
some shit pops up, you still gotta
right.
Perform.
You got to get over
Yeah,
it.
they're
and-
sorry about your
or
issues,
At least
but
forget about
you
it for
gotta
10 minutes or whatever
Perform
it is.
for us now.
Yeah.
Like, like
When
dance
Jordan-
monkey dance,
Is
man.
it actually true? Like when Jordan won that championship, they say like his pops passed away that same day he won that championship.
Yeah. The same game. Well, it was like the night
The one where
before.
he was like hugging the trophy.
Yeah,
it looked
crying.
Like but like people didn't know he was crying. Some people just thought he was just like sweating and you know what I'm saying, sweat going down his face and shit. But like
Yeah, that was
Oh,
for
yeah,
that was
yeah.
for his dad.
That day he won the
And if you go down that rabbit hole, like,
yeah, we go down the rabbit hole.
man,
We go
Yeah,
down.
we
yeah.
go down the
so
rabbit
so
hole.
so if you want to go down that rabbit hole, they say that his dad was murdered because of a
gambling
gambling
shit,
debt that Jordan had.
Yeah, you know what? I've heard about that too.
and that was
That's-
and they found his dad on the side of a highway, bro, in the car, dead.
Yeah.
Like that's where they found him, man. And so you know,
We ain't gonna talk
something
about
like that, bro. Like man, like you know, that's got to weigh on you more than anything. You know what I mean?
was gonna say
Like
that would probably weigh more than just
The
like,
high
you know,
number
they
real
found him
fast.
they found him at home in bed, like he just didn't wake up from the night before. Like that would be one thing, but when you find somebody dead in a car
you're
on
a
the side of the road,
it. He
multi-millionaire.
just won the motherfucking
and
championship.
right.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
like, but,
And then, like-
but I think what he's saying is that, you know, having, you know, like that tells you there was some other shit involved.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? So that's a bigger thing than just like somebody going to natural causes over the night. You know, like that's
Yeah.
because I know if I was in his shoes, I'd be wanting to find the motherfucker that did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
yeah. So that would be
He
that's a lot.
knows who did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's obviously a correlation there. If he owed money to somebody and then your dad ends up dead, you know, who knows, man? It's a story that I don't think is ever going to be told. That's for sure.
Yeah. Did you watch that that docu-series about Jordan? What's it called? The Last Dance. or
Last
Bro,
Dance, yeah.
like look. So I grew up in Chicago. Like grew up.
Oh, yes.
So I moved here in 1994, right after the big run of like the three-peat and all that. And me and my wife, bro, when that came on, it's funny because like the first 10 seconds of watching The Last Dance, I started to cry. She's like, what the fuck is going on?
Just
like,
started.
It's just like literally like
It's
hearing,
the opening credits, homie. Like,
yeah, but it was like it was hearing that.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
your Chicago Bulls. Like I was there. I was in the stadium.
Yeah.
My seats were so far back that there was a pillar that was in the way of me and my mom. So we like changed seats so I could see the crowd. But I was there for those games as a kid, man.
Right.
So it was like all these emotions, and it was like I grew up the biggest Bulls fan, bro. Like
I saw some of the stuff back in the back room.
Oh,
the,
bro,
the
you-
Rodman shirt and all that.
yeah, like all that, bro. Like I've got a store a mile from here that's got probably $500,000 in just like sports memorabilia. Most of it's like Bulls oriented or Jordan memorabilia from the 90s. Like,
Should have wore my Rodzilla shirt tonight.
oh, that
I
would
got
have been
the
fire, bro.
He's got the NWO in his hair and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool as shit, man. And for somebody like Dennis Rodman too, bro, to be able to be in the middle of the playoffs, like skip town to do the NWO,
Yeah.
and then
Skip and
sleep
practice
with
to go hang
Carmen
with Hulk
Electra,
Hogan.
yeah, and then come back and
Bro.
bang out 12 rebounds and
Yeah.
10 points or whatever.
Speaking of Dennis Rodman and banging out, I heard a really funny story earlier today.
Carmen Electra?
Yes. So apparently, like he cheated on Carmen Electra, and apparently she caught him in the act, and was like, "Who is this woman?" And he was like, "What woman?" Like this in bed with him. He's like, "Oh, she must have fell out of the ceiling."
What?
sounds about right.
It sounds on par. Yeah.
Just, I'm gonna put you on spot here for a second.
Dennis Rodman is the man.
My girlfriend is Dominican and grew up in New York City. If I ever said some shit to her like that, I would have to hide all the kitchen knives.
Right.
right.
Nah, hey. But she wrestled too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, now y'all gonna be like the Mr. and Mrs. Smith of wrestling.
Yeah.
Slapping your ass.
just clouds of smoke coming out the windows.
The neighbors don't know what's going on. They just hear a whole bunch of ruckus, glass breaking, all types of shit.
You know, that probably wouldn't even be too weird in my neighborhood.
That's funny.
My neighbors are so fucking weird.
And you know what's awesome, man, is that you live here in Cincinnati. That you're doing all this, like you're going to Hollywood and you're working with the AEW and everything, man. But you're still rooted right here in Cincinnati, which is the
Yep.
coolest part, bro.
I'm a Covington, Kentucky boy. That's where I
Hey.
was born
Yeah.
and raised, and that's where I'm currently at now.
and
That's
and
where we met.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that,
Yeah.
that's
That's
where
where
you.
we met, yeah.
That's the whole reason why
Here.
Sean's here today is because you guys were
Yeah.
homies.
Yeah, we met at the Mad Hatter in Covington, Scott Street, which is now
It's bulldozed.
It's bulldozed
and it's just
over.
a grass field now.
yeah. It's crazy how much history is in that that was in that building that just
Corner
got,
lot, yeah.
yeah, now it just flattened. Literally so much history, man. I saw the fall of Troy in there, like
I saw Cannibal Corpse there.
Cannibal Corpse.
Really?
Yeah, I saw Cannibal Corpse. In
Dude,
that
my
building.
cousin used to be in that band. Pat O'Brien.
What?
Yeah. Pat? Yeah. He's not in the band anymore. Yeah.
You play
Yeah.
guitar.
Yeah. He's from Burlington.
Okay.
Yeah. I never get to see him. He FaceTimed me on Christmas before, like, but he's not in the band anymore, so I'm sure I'll see him later, Aaron. But yeah, like I'll see him more now, but he's not in the band anymore. But yeah, my cousin, yeah, second cousin. But yeah, we talked about him anytime we're with the family. But he was always on tour because
Yeah.
they tour Europe constantly. They're always on the road.
I'm starting
Yeah.
to feel like that's how it's getting to be with like my family get-togethers and stuff. It's like I'm missing more and more because I'm getting busier and busier. And now like whenever I show up to shit, like it's always the topic of conversation is like, where have you been? What you been up to?
Right,
Like
right.
all my cousins' kids are always watching my shit on YouTube and everything. And then
You got to
Yeah.
be that cousin, bro.
they all come up to like the one little kid will come up to me and be like, "Hey, go put him in a headlock."
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let me
I'm
show
just
you
like,
what's up.
dog, I'm trying to just sit here and watch football.
Let me just hang out, guy. Yeah, that's the thing is like music too. Like whenever I was like, holidays come and they haven't seen me in a while. I'm like, they're like, when's your next show? What's going on? Tell us. I'm like, nothing's going on right now, guys. Like just chilling here. Let's hang out. What's going on? They're like, no. You've got stuff to tell me. What's going on? I'm like, I have nothing to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna disappoint you. Like there's nothing going on. They're like, I know there's a new song coming. We're working on it, but give us time. Oh, I need to hear the new track. I know you have something on your phone. Show me. And that's how it always was. And I was like, all right, little ones, let's do it. Like, 'cause big family. It comes with the territory.
Sure.
But I mean, can't take it for granted though. Like I don't
It's gotta
do
feel great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's
little
a
ones just
feeling.
want to know.
'Cause
They
it's
just want
nice
to
to
know.
that they at least care.
They care.
Yeah,
They've been,
like,
they,
at least
have been
care
waiting.
that
They've
they're
been
invested in
waiting.
what you got going
I
on.
know. They've been
Yeah.
waiting. Like the little ones, they've been waiting to get into the same room as you and to ask you, and that's their moment. So I played it down a little, but like it was a good feeling. Like like they just want to know. That's
It's
all.
so funny. My cousin Kim, she has a little boy. He's got to be, how old do you think he is? Like 4, maybe like 3 or 4. But yeah, it's probably 4.
If you have any questions
4.
on anything, let us know.
Yeah, yeah. So he's like 4
your
years
hat.
old. He comes up to me at a family get together recently. He just walks right up to me, looks me dead in the eyes, and he's like, "One of these days, when I get big, I'm gonna wrestle you. I'm gonna pick you up and slam you right on your head." Like this kid's like cutting a promo on
Get
me.
it
I'm
right.
like,
Determined.
I'm like, hold on, kid. I'm like, hang on just a second.
Like,
And I
don't get
looked
ahead
at
of
this little
yourself.
shit dead in his eyes. I'm like, there's an entire plate of sandwiches on that table. You better start eating now because you got a lot of growing to do, boy.
Eat your Wheaties.
And then the next time I saw him, he's like, I've been eating a lot of food so I can get big and fight you.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
He's
that's
ready.
awesome. He remembers everything you say.
Yeah.
That he sticks with him. He probably went home. He's like, "Mom, I need sandwiches. Mom, I need sandwiches.
Doing
Give me
push-ups.
peanut butter. I need sandwiches, Mom." like, you know what I mean? That's the influence is amazing because you're just doing your thing. You know what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
You found your love. That is something people search their whole lives for. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for real.
So to get to the point of someone that's a family member or not a family member that comes up to you and be like, "Hey, you are this is everything for me," and you're just like, you gotta just embrace the shit out of
Yeah,
it.
it does.
You gotta
Yeah.
embrace it just because
Well,
like
things that we don't realize, like we, as we grow up, bro, like we see our parents, right, and we just think that that's just what they do. That's
Yeah.
just they're just being parents, but they're in the middle of trying to build their own legacy, right? Like so,
Yeah.
everyone's in the middle of trying to build their own legacy. So when these kids come up to you and they look at you and they go, "Man, this is amazing," and you're just thinking to yourself, bro, like, I'm still in the minors right now, right? But like,
Right, yeah.
if somebody looks at you like that and gives you that inspiration, that should be more fire.
It is.
To
It's
put,
fuel,
to put,
man. It's fuel.
To put towards where you want to go, man.
Yeah, because now it's almost like I've got.
You can't let them down.
Yeah, that's it, dude. Like,
Keep it rolling,
because
keep it going.
there's gonna be something super rewarding about seeing how they react to one day when they flick on their TV and I'm just there.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like there's gonna like. It's just. It's already. They're always constantly asking their parents, like, "Hey, will you pull up Sean's matches on YouTube?" Like,
That's
stuff
awesome,
like that.
dude.
So. It's,
There's moments, man, where like you've got to take the blinders off and you got to appreciate where you are. Like you may not feel like you're at the top of the food chain right now, but you're on your way there, and there's a lot of people that are rooting for you and want to see you get there.
Yeah, man.
Same thing with this, man. Like we've got this store and it's been up and running for over a year, but like I still haven't been called to the majors, right? Like
Right.
I'm still in the minors fighting for my spot at the table. So as soon as we do get called to the majors, it's like I'm ready, bro. Game on. I'm
It's-
put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
It's what she tells me all the time. Like, you always have to be ready.
Always.
Like, always be ready because you never know when that phone might ring. And then, like, the thing that I don't want to happen is, like,
Slack.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not in the best shape I could be in or whatever. And then, like, they call and I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I just want to be able to take that phone call and be like, all right, when you need me, where you need me, I'm there.
Yeah, 100%.
And then I know that I'm going to go and deliver. But
It's like
That's-
that's like a hurry up and wait, man. That's the same thing as like when it comes to the movie industry. It's like
Stay ready,
get
so you gotta
everything
be
ready, get ready to go, and then you got to sit there and wait.
Hurry up and wait.
Wait for your,
Dude,
for
I wrote
your
a
time
song
to be called.
with those lyrics. Hurry
Yeah.
because you do in the music industry, wrestling, anything that takes others to elevate you to the next level, like record labels and different stuff. You
Yes.
hurry up and wait. Like they'll sign you, and you have to wait like a whole year before your time.
yeah.
Like that's kind of how it works. They're like, they will sign you. All right, now we got a team behind you. We're gonna put you here. We're gonna build your brand, and then we're gonna release. We'll tell you when we're gonna release those. So
Right.
just don't get in trouble, guys. That's kind of like how it works. And
Bro, there are so many parallels between wrestling and music.
oh,
There's so many.
I totally believe that.
Yeah.
sports too.
Yeah.
Well, like
Sports
I said,
and music.
I played a little bit of sports, you know, in my youth and in high school and stuff. But I mean, like, having been in a band for a few years.
And what band were you in?
I was in All Out Best.
Yep, I was gonna say
I
it, but
know
I
you
wanted you to.
remember
Yeah.
All Out Best.
I'm very familiar. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
so,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Shout out to the boys and All Out
Yeah,
Best.
man. Shout out to all of them
Miss
for
you
sure.
guys.
Yeah,
But,
Covington Pop Punk.
Covington Pop Punk, Northern
Yes, sir.
Kentucky Pop Punk.
Yes,
but
sir.
I just noticed that there's so much shit that is like, so it's all the same,
Yeah.
especially like in independent wrestling. Like, you're driving all these miles to go do, you know, go put on for people, you know, sometimes for little money. You're making your own merchandise to try to
Yeah.
sell, and it's the same grind.
The
It's
same
the same
grind.
grind, but the best part about wrestling is that you get all the money. You don't have to split it
You don't
with
have to
4
split
other
it.
assholes.
Right.
Hey,
Right.
You don't
independent,
have to-
baby. Hey.
Yeah, so like
4
Yeah.
other egos.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, well, I
yeah,
mean, it's
yeah.
like, you know, you've been in bands. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
you
of
go
course.
play some little club for $100 and like, and it's 5 dudes in the band, and
Yeah.
you still have to put gas in the van. So
Still
it's
have
like,
to, yeah.
all right, by the time
$15
it's all,
each.
yeah,
Yep.
sweet, we get to eat today.
Right.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, like,
Exactly. I put all the money back into the band. It's no one gets the money. We're going back into the band, guys. Make sure you have your job.
Yeah.
Like that's how it felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the way it is. You know.
Yeah, that for me right now is the ultimate. For me, that's the ultimate wrestling goal, is that I don't need another job, because I feel like right now wrestling is a full-time job when you break it down to all the shit that goes into having
Prep.
to. Yeah, like
Yeah.
so I consider my time in the gym, that's part of wrestling. I consider, you know, tanning bed, that's part of wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, like training, coming up with ideas for character development or merchandise, stuff like that. That's all shit that goes into that full-time part of it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
then I've got like 2 other part-time jobs to, you know, just keep
Right.
income streaming and stuff.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
like,
To keep the dream alive.
Keep
Yeah,
it, that's
for
the
real.
thing.
It's like
Musicians
you
and
work to keep
part-time
the dream
jobs.
alive.
Musicians and delivering pizzas or delivery services and side jobs for musicians. It's literally the same thing.
bro, I've gotten so lucky with my part-time day job or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
I work for a nonprofit. We do like social services for the aging community in Cincinnati.
Okay.
And like part of that job is so dope is that I get to meet so many people with like cool stories, and like they get so invested in my wrestling shit, dude. Like they're always like, so I drive people to appointments, like to, you know, take them to the doctor and stuff.
Okay.
So when we get that time where we're in the car together, they're always asking me like,
What do
"Oh,
you do?"
So where are you at this weekend? You know, like when's the next time you go out of town? Like, had any good matches lately? You know, and it's like it's so cool, and that's like a whole other grouping of people that I have in my corner who I don't want to let down. And you know, they all say all the time, they're like, you know, when you get too big for this place, we're gonna miss you and like all this shit. And it's like, you know. That's just another one of those
make
things.
you get the,
Yeah.
get the
That's
feels.
like,
Of,
damn,
like
man,
I'm never gonna really leave. I'll still come back here.
I mean, but that's a big driving force, man.
Yeah,
is not letting
yeah.
people down, right? Like
Yes,
that's,
yeah.
bro. That's the only reason why I haven't given up is because there's too many people depending on this
Yeah.
motherfucker now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like too many people have already.
Oh, I thought I got his ass. I thought I got his ass.
Yeah.
So
I'm
it's
like
like
3 or 4 now.
Like so, where are all these fucking gnats coming from? We don't even have food here, bro.
I don't know. I don't know.
But anyways, like that's one of those things where it's like, you know, you've got. I just lost my train of thought actually.
Letting
You were
people
saying-
down.
We're talking about
too many people relying on you.
I call it to not disappoint.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you know, you just get to the point where it's like, you've got too many people depending on you, and you don't want to let anybody down, right? Like, and that's the reason why I haven't given up. Like back's been against the wall a million times, bro, and it's
Yeah.
like. I can't first of all, I don't know if I'm good at anything else other than this, right? Like that's the mentality that you have is like I put all this energy and time into one thing, and I've been striving for this for the past 10 years, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not good at anything else because if I'm like I put 10 years into this, if this isn't good, then Jesus Christ, I'm in trouble. You know what I mean? But it's like you've got, you know, you just have to make sure that you don't give up. And that you keep pushing forward, right? Because that's the only reason why we're here
Yeah.
today is because back's against the wall, and I should have given up, but I didn't, and I kept pushing forward, man.
There's been a
If you
time or
hadn't,
two.
we wouldn't be here.
There's been a time or two where I've almost threw in the towel. You know, like one of the big one was COVID.
Yeah.
You know, once the pandemic hit, like everything came to a screeching halt. Like I felt like any and all progress that I had made it didn't matter. You know, like because we couldn't do
yeah,
anything.
it didn't matter because people were so focused on the news and what was happening. So like,
But it's just like, you know, I can't go wrestle in front of people.
Yeah.
I can't really go to a training
Facility,
did you
yeah.
did you
yeah.
stream anything? Did you do any online?
I mean,
pivoting?
like, we did. I tried to like kind of stay as relevant as I could on social media, but it's really hard to do when you don't have any events to share. You don't have
Sure,
any new matches coming
Everything's
out.
on pause, yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
but and also too, going into COVID, I felt like I had sort of hit a plateau. Like I was kind of just making lateral movements that I wasn't making any further progress. So I kind of was like,
Lateral's not bad, though. You know, as long as you're going the right direction.
Yeah,
yeah,
lateral keeps you in the
Going in
conversation.
a
Yeah,
direction
lateral
instead of
keeps
The
you in the
conversation doesn't
conversation.
change. It may not change,
but
but you're still
yeah.
in it.
But
You know.
But again, like I mentioned earlier, my goal was always to make this a career.
Sure.
So I
100%.
didn't feel like I was making the steps I needed to get to that.
Yeah.
So I was starting to think like, you know, because, well, let's see, 2020, I was like 30, 31, something like that. And I'm just kind of like, how long is this shit going to last? Like, how long am I going to have
2 weeks.
I mean, yeah, that was the original. That was
They
the
told
original.
us 2
one.
weeks. They told us 2 weeks.
Yeah, they told us 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah. yeah. Yeah.
No, so
2 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I kind of was like, should I just say fuck it? You know, like, are people still gonna care?
Right.
You know, like, because none of us had any idea what was
Right,
going on.
Right,
None
and,
of
and,
us.
and you weren't at the top of the
none
food
of
chain yet.
us-
You were crawling up it, so it was like, fuck, man.
None of us really knew how to navigate this, or like, you know, we were all just kind of trying to figure it out. But then I realized that I wasn't alone in that. That everybody was trying to figure it out, and COVID kind of hit. You know, like on the old school Nintendos, that reset button.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that was where we were at. Like we all kind of hit the reset button.
That's your pivot right there.
And
Yeah.
something happened. So we started. There was a few promotions that were doing like some closed set tapings. You know, like so that way you were at least generating content.
Right.
But dude, it's so fucking hard to wrestle in front of no fans. It's awful.
Oh man.
I bet.
Yeah, it's
man.
fucking awful.
Hi-
But so we were doing some of these closed set like no fans tapings, which at least was something.
Yeah. Content.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
not
it
something.
was. It was something.
Something. Yeah. Yeah.
So then, I don't know if you all are aware of this or not, but the state of Florida didn't give a fuck about COVID.
Oh, no.
Texas
And-
didn't either.
I'm
huh?
saying
Yeah.
Florida didn't give a
yeah.
shit.
Beaches opened
So-
pretty much right away.
oh, dude, they
Yeah.
didn't care at all.
I don't think they ever really
Nothing
closed.
ever got shut down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this was December, I think around December of 2020. I got a message from a promotion in Orlando that I was supposed to do some work for in like April of 2020. But so that was, you know, that all got canceled. But they were like, hey, you know, we feel bad that we couldn't get you down here for that April date. Like, are you available for this date in December? And this is like Orlando, Florida. So, and
Yeah.
at this point in time, I've never had a promoter buy me a flight at this point.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm available. I mean, there ain't really shit going on.
Yeah.
And then I'm just thinking to myself, like, I'm about to drive 15 fucking hours to Orlando to do this show.
Mm-hmm.
So then, like, I'm like, yeah, I'm available. Like, would love to come do it, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, cool. Like, what airport you fly out of? And I'm like,
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm like, Cincinnati.
Yeah,
He's
CVG.
like, okay, cool. He's like, just send me, you know, your name and your birth date, and I'll get the flights over to you. And I'm like, oh shit, like, okay.
Yeah.
Like I didn't
Yeah.
like, you know, I played it off, but
Right,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh shit, like this is something that I've never had before.
Right.
Like, so I kind of felt like,
Did you just catch it with 2 fingers? Oh, there it is.
call me Bruce Lee, brah. No, but so I was like, okay, this is that progress that I was missing. You know, like I was able to check something off. Like I feel like that was a new thing that I hadn't accomplished yet. So
Right.
now, okay, maybe I should keep it going, keep it moving. So I went and I did that, and then, which, by the way, I get down to Florida, on planes and shit, everybody's wearing masks, everything's all nice and tight. And then up here, like I'd been working around elderly folks, so I was, always super
Masked up,
cautious
yeah.
and masked up and stuff. I get down to Florida, and it's the fucking Wild West.
Wild
brother.
West, bro.
They had like the little part of town where the venue was is right there in downtown Orlando, and there was like about a 4-block radius on that Saturday night that was, the streets are blocked off. There's just people spilling in and out of nightclubs, like sloppy making out in the middle of the street, and I'm like, this is a lot, because it was just not shit I was used to anymore. Like I've been in the house for 6 months,
Right.
So I'm like, God damn, dude, this is a lot. But
That's awesome though.
it was something.
You said Orlando, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. My grandparents live in Tampa. They're not that far from
Yeah,
Orlando.
but
Yeah.
then-
I'm in Tampa too.
Yeah.
So then I just kept with it, man, and I'm really glad I did, because if I would have just said fuck it and hung it up right then and there, I wouldn't have got to
The
do all this
opportunities
stuff.
you have now,
I wouldn't
yeah.
have met her,
There you
because
go, bro.
like we met at a TV taping down in Atlanta, Georgia, and so I think
Stole her.
all this
So
shit that's
you're coming to Cincinnati, girl. Come on.
well, basically,
Where is she from?
she's originally from New York.
Okay.
She was living in Kansas City when we met, but we were both down in Atlanta for this TV taping. So
And what does she think of Cincinnati? Do you? Do you? That's good. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Like my mom worked for CVG Airport for Delta for so long, and she always says that people come from all over, and they're like, Cincinnati is just so wholesome. It's just because it's a family area. Blend.
Like big city, but also like it still feels like home.
Yeah.
They call Cincinnati Little New York. Does it kind of remind you? Does it
I have
give you, like, New
literally
York?
never heard anyone call it that.
I swear to God, I've had people call.
I have
Cincinnati
literally never
because
heard
the
any-
bridge, the blue, that
So there's
I've heard Little New York, yeah.
The little mini Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah,
okay, I
it's
can
a mini
maybe see-
Brooklyn Bridge, and then the Hilton Hotel was built after another building in downtown New York.
So I'm
Okay.
just curious. I was curious to know, like, did it? I mean, does it remind you a little bit of New York?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
I was just curious.
You said you've never been to New York City?
Nope. My sister
Okay.
has.
Yeah,
I
there's
so
at-
I'd be wondering,
See, like when you're walking around in downtown New York City, you gotta like tiptoe around rats and
Yeah.
I be seeing little rats
People
running
walk
around
right.
this
If you
motherfucker.
fall on the ground, they
little
walk right
rats.
over
They
you.
call them
Supposed to be
prairie
fast, too.
dogs out there, bro.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
They're the size of dogs.
house
man.
cats.
Yeah, right. I mean, you fall on the ground, people walk right around you.
Dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That is what it is. But I mean, the thing about Cincinnati is, people here want to be a big city so bad. It's wild how many party scenes we have, but we still sit 10 years behind the West Coast, and it's much the same with the East
The
Coast.
thing is,
like,
though, is I think Cincinnati has all the big city accommodations, but it doesn't have the stress of a big city.
Right.
Okay,
Like,
that's
there's
fair.
all the
That's
like
fair.
you get all. I mean, we have
Yeah.
an MLB team, we have an NFL team,
Yeah.
we've got a minor league hockey team,
Mhm.
we've got a lot of good spots to eat, party. Like, there's a lot of cool shit to do here. So
Yep.
there is all the appeal of a big city, but we don't have the fucking Atlanta traffic. We don't have LA traffic, Chicago traffic.
Right.
We
The
don't
tr-
have
the crime of Atlanta
or
or
Detroit,
Chicago,
or-
Detroit.
yeah. But
Yeah,
it's
it's true.
it's actually not a bad spot. Like, but
E-
like I
easy
said,
living,
though,
bro. It's easy living.
I remember going.
and you don't really take it. You don't really appreciate it, like, because wrestling has allowed me to go to a lot of these other places that I had never been before. So I think it's given me a new appreciation for here, because like some places you go are just so freaking hectic and like busy, crowded, and dirty. Like
Just
Yeah.
it was the most crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like
It's the craziest place you've been.
Crazy.
I'm
like,
getting a super dirty look if I say New York City.
Oh damn! She was looking. She ready.
Shit.
She ready. No,
Is it New
Um,
York?
As far
New York
as
was pretty. I mean, I've been in New York quite a
New
few
York,
times, and
I
it's,
will say New York is the most stressful place I've ever been.
Yeah, I would say so.
Like, it
I would say so, too.
stresses me out. Because me not being from there, trying to navigate their like subway and like
And nobody sleeps.
and there's
2
just-
o'clock in
and
the
there's
morning
just-
is busy down
there's
there.
just
Yeah.
fucking car horns all the time, and everybody's in a rush to get somewhere, and you're the guy that's in their way.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, man, it's just too much. But
Yeah. I will say, like my experiences with traveling and doing my thing, like when I've been anywhere, especially like Los Angeles, California, and I tell them that I'm from Cincinnati, they always like, I didn't know this was a thing, but have you ever heard of the spider web of the Midwest?
no.
The spider web. So I told them like, yeah, we're out here. We were meeting with a record label called Velocity Records, subsidiary of Rise Records. It was a kind of big jump that we were trying to make. And they were like, you're out here. Good job getting out here, guy. And I'm like, I got here over a flight. I was able to book when I got here. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, you're making it out of Cincinnati. Your band's getting out of there. Getting out of the spider web, man. Cincinnati's in the spider web. And I was like, what's the spider web? And I didn't understand it. But
I already know where this is going.
all the people in that room knew it. They all knew that Cincinnati was just hard to get out of because the spider web is just, there's a lot of talent out of Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, Cleveland, but no one ever leaves. They just get big out of here and they might tour, but to get to the West Coast or get to the East Coast, New York, takes that extra little the extra sauce.
I'm sure
to make
they
it
call
happen.
it that because things get stuck in spider
They get
webs.
stuck
Yep.
in spider webs, and you never make it out of here because you're just
We just
you,
went deep, right?
because it is
Yeah.
because there's so many music venues, there's so many opportunity here, and you think you make progress, but when you get on a national scale, you haven't made any. You're just really just still a small fish in the pond, right? And like this gigantic ocean, and you're in Cincinnati. You might have all the talent in the world, but they're like, you're from Cincy. You're just from this
dude,
small
that
city.
translates to wrestling too.
Yeah. And then, like they told me that, and like other people mentioned it while we were out there. Like me and Greg Gonzalez. Greg, like,
Oh,
like,
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
yeah. Greg,
Shout out to Silver Ice, dude.
yeah. So he might be stopping down here tonight, but yeah,
I
like,
hope not.
yeah.
You say they treat the big ones
Nah,
like
Greg's
that?
the homie. I'm just talking shit.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. But he experienced. He was with me, and we were just hearing all these people tell us this, and we're like, is it that hard to get out of Cincinnati? Like we were like looking at each other, like we made it. Like my mom booked us the flight, and we did it the right way. But like, is it really that hard for these bands to get out here? Like, because Devin King, do you remember Devin King?
I do. He's
Yeah.
out in LA now, right?
Yes, that's what we were with. We were with Devin.
Okay.
So we were with Devin.
I don't know him super well, but I do remember from when he was here. Yeah.
Yeah, his roommate was like the #2 promoter in all of Los Angeles.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was roommates with like some G people, bro. He's like, yeah, my roommate's like he works for the club that Usher owns, so we should go there. And I'm like, what? So we walk to this club, and he gets this, gets this presidential treatment, if you will. And like, we're
Yeah.
like, man, like, Devin, what are you doing since you've been out here, bro? Like, he's like, I'm making connections. He's like, you guys made out the spider web of Cincinnati, and he even knew it. I'm like, man, it was just a term that
They've probably been saying it to him
yeah,
since he
yeah,
got out there.
right?
yeah.
Because it's just hard to make it out of the Midwest because
Yeah.
you get stuck in because there's so much opportunity here. There's so many shows you can
Well,
get.
that's the thing too, and that's what I tell people. I was actually just talking to I wrestled a tag team from Kansas City
Okay, yeah,
just on Saturday, and that's kind of what I was telling. Like one of the things why I wanted her to come here as opposed to me go there
Yeah.
was Cincinnati is such a central spot, like for touring bands or
Yeah.
like me as an independent wrestler. I'm 5 hours from Chicago. I'm 5 hours from Atlanta. I'm 5 hours from Pittsburgh. 4
Yeah.
hours from Cleveland. 2 hours from Indianapolis.
Yeah.
An
3
hour
hours
and a half from Louisville.
Nashville's not far either.
Nashville. Like I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many bigger markets
Stops here, yeah.
from within this little circle. Then like you got Kansas City. Their closest things are like still 3-4 hours away. You got like St. Louis and like Des Moines, Iowa, and Wichita, Kansas. That's
Right.
and that's
Okay,
it.
yeah.
But like, there's so much shit, and we're like 8 hours from the East Coast. to
And these are
drive.
major markets that
Yeah.
they got that you're sitting in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like I'm in a good spot to where you can branch out, but it's just you can't let it stop at those. That's why
Right.
like I'm very fortunate that I am getting to do workout on the West Coast, or that I've got to do like stuff in Florida, up in New York or Jersey, like up on that Northeast.
Yeah.
The Northeast is a huge hotbed for wrestling. Like Philly, New York, Jersey, like there's a lot of shit going on up there too. So
So how many do you have a number? How many like cities you've had a match in? Do you have like that list
No,
anywhere? You should compile that list.
I do have like at home. I've got I buy one of those yearly planners, you know, like the day planner things or whatever.
Yeah.
And I do write down like city, state, promotion, opponent, and what number match for the year.
Okay, cool.
So I mean,
Cool.
I do have that at home, but I've never actually sat down and figured
That's
up
fair.
like how many.
Sit down and do it for yourself.
Yeah,
See, it's,
I should. Cause
I mean, the thing is like to even get into one match, to get to that point, to like put
Yeah.
yourself to in the position for them to let you in the ring,
Yeah.
and you're the you're the main event, or even in the opening card. Regardless, to let them for them to let you there, it's a privilege.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
so you've done
it
that
definitely is.
multiple times. So
Yeah.
I always think about on stage, like when I would like my very first real live performance that I played music on like a stage in front of a real crowd. I was playing bass in a band called 12 Year Harlot, and we played on Bury
I
Your
remember that band.
12 Year Harlot. Yeah, I played
remember
bass in
that
that band.
band,
Yeah, Bury Your Dead. We played I played on Bury Your Dead's. Yep. On the yes, sir. On Bury Your Dead's basis, we played on all their equipment at the in Dayton, Ohio, the Attic.
Oh God.
The Attic. Yeah. We played there on their equipment. We showed up late, like by half an hour, because we were sitting in traffic from Cincy there. They got real mad, but the tour manager of Bury Your Dead was like, let this local band on. They wouldn't let us play. And the tour manager's like, let them on. And they're like, there's no slots available. They showed up late. So he's like, they'll play on their equipment. So we played on Bury Your Dead's equipment 15 minutes before they got on. We got our 15-minute set. It was
Yeah.
great, but it was my first experience. But I was thinking, like, when I showed up and I was like the guy that was communicating with all the promoter and everybody, and I was thinking, like, wow, this is really hard to get on this stage right now. Like we were coming from Cincy. We're the only out of town band technically to a local show, and Bury Your Dead was the headliner. Like, this was really hard. So at that point, it was really early for me, and I realized how hard it is to actually get on that stage. And I was supposed to be there anyways. And that point forward, I was like, I can't take it for granted. And I was lucky it was early at the beginning, but like, that's privilege to let you be on that stage and let you use their equipment, and it's amazing.
And what's crazy too, like how we keep talking about this all being, because it is all a privilege. Like, you know, there's plenty of people who dream of this shit and never get to experience it. But like there's something very like there's another good feeling too, like when you reach a point where you're not only having to reach out to new places you want to go, but you've got people inboxing you and saying like, hey, I want to use you on my show, like, you know, let's talk money, let's talk accommodations and stuff like that. Like that's really cool too, because like it's another one of those things where you kind of check yourself, like, wow, like how did I get to this point where like I've got these people who I've never met reaching out to me, you know, and
because they're researching you, they're looking into you.
They saw something get retweeted or you know, shared on social media.
They dive into your profile.
And it's almost like social media makes things happen.
It does. TikTok. That's the thing. We live in this like instant gratification world where people can find you in an instant. They can Google your name, and all of a sudden all your photos came up, and all your you know your the negative side of your career could pop up, so they can research everything they want to research in an instant. So you have to stay squeaky clean at the same time of being your character, doing your life, all at the same time. We live in a hard era. The old heads, I don't know, they don't get it.
No, the old heads got away with a lot.
They did,
of shit.
man. They did. I mean, we live in like a cancel culture. We live in cancel culture now, and
which I don't think is always a bad thing, because I definitely think that like if I don't want to be sharing locker rooms with pedophiles. I don't want to be sharing locker rooms with sex pests and stuff like that.
For sure.
So I definitely think that does have its place, and it's definitely a good thing in a lot of ways. But
there's a lot of wrongfully accused, though. I
will say this, that I definitely think that, and I'm trying to be really careful of how I word this, but I think like there's a lot of people who sometimes get crucified for shit that they did when they were young and dumb and have grown as people in that period of time.
Sure, yeah.
So I think we need to be careful about, save burying people for people who deserve it. And
Yeah.
I definitely think there are things, of course, that are cancelable offenses and are unforgivable cancelable offenses. But I think if somebody did one or two or said something out of pocket when they were a teenager, I know I'm not the same person I was when I was 18 years old, and I shouldn't be, because if I was, that would be a problem.
Right, growth.
That growth is super important, and I think that sometimes people get murdered for stuff that's old them, and and I think life experience also goes into play. Like, a lot of us didn't have a ton of life experience when we were younger, and weren't exposed to different lifestyles or people of different walks of life or backgrounds and different things that open our minds and our eyes to different things that
Possibilities.
but growth is good, and I think
when you hit a certain stage, people, musicians, wrestling, athletes, you know what I'm saying? People, I don't know, people see you on the stage, they expect for you to just be perfect.
Right.
You feel me? And like, mistakes happen, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody human. You go make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's what he's
mistakes
talking
do
about,
happen.
like a mistake that you probably could have made when you was like 16 or something. And now
But
you're
you
like
only get
25.
crucified or canceled if you're in a limelight, because
That's what I'm
the
saying,
regular
the
regular
stage,
person
that
that's
when you hit that
canceling you,
stage and shit.
they may have done something much similar, but they're not gonna get that cancellation that are put on a pedestal. They're so much lower key than what you're when you're trying to become an entertainer. So you're on this limelight, and let's say you make a tweet, like people be looking
But
at
that's also
tweets
part of,
from 2010,
10 years ago and shit.
12 years,
Yeah,
12
but
plus.
I think part of the responsibility of being in the public eye, though, is that you do need to
Recognize.
You are held to a higher standard,
Yep.
because like you do have children that look up to you. Like, it goes back to what I was saying. Like, I have kids who look up to me, who come up to my merch table starry-eyed. I don't want to do something that's going to let those kids down, and it's not fair for me to do something to let those kids down. So I do think that we are held to a higher standard
Absolutely.
as performers and as people who have an audience and have a platform. And I definitely do think that it is our responsibility to maintain a certain level of, like,
Professionalism?
professionalism is a perfect word for it. And not even just that, but just being a good person, because how am I going to tell somebody, how am I going to tell these little kids, like, make sure that, you're minding your P's and Q's and that you're going to grow up into a good person if I'm not a good person?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
So
Yeah.
I try my ass off to be as good of a person as I can in and out of the ring, because and not even just, and it's not even just because I feel like I have to because of the position that I'm in, just because I want to.
You're a
Like,
role
I
model
wanna
now,
be,
though.
but I just don't want to be a piece of shit.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
really what it boils down to, is I just
Yeah.
don't want to be a piece of shit. I don't want to let her down. I don't want to let my mother down. I don't want to let my sister down, and I try to be the person that I want to be for them. And like I said, we all can look back at our younger selves and probably are embarrassed by shit we've done or said, or way we dressed, or the way we did our hair.
Right.
There's all kind of shit that we could we'll look back and be embarrassed about.
The emo days,
Yeah,
if
but,
you will, yeah.
but at the same time, though, it goes back to where we all need to grow as humans.
Yeah.
And I think, and I love that wrestling has done that for me. There's people of all walks of life in professional wrestling. There are people of all, economic backgrounds, people of all races, gender identities.
Right.
There's sexual orientations. There's people and you can learn lessons about these people's journeys, and it kind of opens you to, understanding that we're all just, we're all one.
Yeah. We're on a floating rock.
Yeah.
We should
Dude.
we should just understand everybody is different. That is the hardest thing for people to accept, is that we are different from each other. And I'm noticing that a lot when I'm having conversations with people at the store, and I'm telling them about my experience and what I'm doing, and they're interested because they're in my store and they're wanting to know my journey to get to this point. And I'm like, I was just so passionate about what I liked to do, and it was so music involved, and that I kind of floated to this position, and it fell in my lap. But at the same time, my hard work has put me into this position, and the universe puts you where you belong.
Sure.
Ultimately, like social media, you post enough, you're gonna eventually find who you are, regardless. Like I've known who I am. Like I found out later down that I knew who I was at like 13 years old. I've been like kind of the same person my whole entire life. I don't know. It's just who I am. Like I understood that music was my passion to start when I was sitting on the computer playing bass to a Day to Remember early on, and then I met the drummer of A Day to Remember, and I was like, man, you're not that. I mean, I don't know about you as a human, but because I was like learning this guy. I was like, this is the guy I'm looking up to. Like, he was just some social dude who were hanging out with some girls in Louisville, and I just happened to cross his path, and I was like, man, I look up to you. And he was like, yeah, I'm in A Day to Remember, blah, blah. I'm like, you're in a huge band. But early on, this was like, way before any Homesick or anything like that, you know, for those who have heart, you know. But like, I was like, man, yeah. But I was hanging out with him in Louisville because we were hanging out with two girls there, just whatever, and he just happened to be the other guy coming here from Florida, and it was a whole situation. I was like, "You're a cool dude," like, and he's like, "Yeah, it's whatever," and I was like, "You're saying it's whatever, but you're in A Day to Remember," and it was like it was a reality check for me. Like
it is, because once you start finding yourself in rooms with people who you look up to, you know you're doing something right.
Right.
Fair.
Yeah.
That was early. That was early. That was early. Yeah.
Because that goes back to wrestling. Like when I started working on the shows with guys who I watched on TV growing up, or having matches with fucking Matt Hardy, like when your idols become your peers, you know you're doing something right.
Fair.
Right.
Yeah.
And that lets you know that you are making the steps to where you need to be. Like I've shared locker rooms with so many. Like I remember one of the ones that really stuck out to me, and this was one of the first like bigger names that I got to like be around, and it was Gangrel. If you remember Gangrel from, you know, like Edge, Christian, and Gangrel were the Brood in WWF.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when I was younger, I thought they had the dopest entrance in the history of pro wrestling. Like, they'd come through the floor in the Ring of Fire to that really cool, like, ominous music. Dude, the whole blood spit thing. Like, when I got to, like, share a locker room with Gangrel, like, he was, like, off in the corner. Like, he had music playing out of his phone. He was listening to Black Sabbath.
Oh, okay.
And I rolled my shit over, and I sat down next to him. I'm like, I'm going to sit here with you because this is where the good tunes are. And then we started talking about music and shit.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So, like, and then, like, at that moment, we were equals. And we were, you know, just two dudes booked on the same show to do the same thing. And that, I think, was a kind of a reality check to me, and I was like, I need to get used to this. Because this is just going to continue. This is going to keep happening more and more, and then, you know, like, and it has.
That's so awesome.
Like, stay humble and hustle hard.
Stay humble,
yeah.
That's how I felt. I was like, we were sitting in Louisville, the mall, and he just said that, and I was like, because she told me he was in a band. I was like, oh, what band? He's like, I didn't remember. I'm like, bro, I like mimic your songs, man. Like, what? Wait, excuse me? I was like, what are we talking about? I like looking around. No one's excited about me.
Like, that's like us coming from music and shit.
Yeah.
And like,
because it was early. This wasn't quite. They hadn't hit a peak yet. They were just in the process. For those who have heart, had just came out. Yeah. For like, I was like in awe, and like, I'm like, you're gonna be huge one day, dude. And like, so like playing drums and whatever. But
again, like coming from, you know, like us coming from music, like. Her boss from the NWA is Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins.
Hey.
Like that's her boss.
So
you know what I
dope.
mean? So like just a couple
dope.
weeks ago, we
yeah.
went up to Detroit and saw, and we're sitting there in his dressing room, but like it felt normal. You know what I mean?
That's
and that
great.
to me was like, me 10 years ago wouldn't have thought this was normal.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that just tells you, like, you know, the growth in what you're doing, and like putting yourselves into situations where, you know, you're
uncomfortable. In some
like
cases,
what I'm saying, like, you know, putting yourselves into situations where you're rubbing elbows with these people.
Yeah.
Who,
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
But like, to me, it didn't feel weird, and like, but I feel like 10 years ago, this would have been a lot.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it didn't feel that way, and it's just
You put yourself into that position, man. Yeah.
You belong.
Yeah, you put
You
yourself
belong
in
there.
that position.
Yeah, and your experiences are your. If you wouldn't have ever had an experience in a wrestling locker room in an environment and you were there, you might have had a fanboy, fangirl experience. But because you're in this you're in like the tunnel vision day to day working, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in the locker room, and you're like, I'm working my ass off to get here, and I'm sitting next to an idol, if you will, like,
he
and
is.
you're like, I got here.
Yeah.
That I would say it's humbling, but it's also like another level of a different version of like motivation to like
It's a drive. For
drive.
Sure,
You're like,
to get
man,
better.
if I can get here, how far am I off of like
Right,
getting in the
yeah.
room with the next tier up?
Yeah.
It's a great feel. I can feel. I
you-
can feel it for you.
Have you? So who's somebody who you've met who you've absolutely fanboyed for? Because I know it's happened.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being post like after Warped Tour one night, and me and Greg were hanging out, and we were supposed to play Warped Tour, but they cut 4 bands. They cut one of the touring bands and the 3 locals. We were the last local cut, but the first local, because we were there like. And at the end of the night, because we had got all the amenities, we got
Sure.
Kevin Lyman, the owner of Warped Tour, gave us a 12-pack of beer because he felt bad. He was like, he grew up on a bicycle. He grew up on a
parting
bicycle.
gift.
He's like, I'm so sorry you guys couldn't play. We're going to Canada tomorrow. I'm so sorry. He shook our hands. He gave me my email, my phone number. He gave his phone number to me, all this stuff. And I was like, he's like, take it, use it if you need it. I'll help you, whatever you need. I'm so sorry. He was
Yeah.
such a good guy. He rode on a bike. It was very strange to think the owner of Warped Tour just rides around on Warped Tour on a
very strange.
on a 12-speed bike. It was very strange. But he gave us a 12-pack of beer, whatever. So at the end of the night, we were hanging out with Chris Ruby and all the guys from Devil Wears Prada and the guys from Volumes and all these people.
Yeah.
And I have no tattoos. I have never had tattoos. I don't have any. Still to this day, front of a metal band, no tattoos. It is what it is. But they were like, dude, you should get tattoos. And I was like, man, when I get signed, I will. When we get signed, we sign a dotted line, and that's my job. I'll put To Not Disappoint on my chest and a wolf. I'm going to put Mega Man on my arm. I'm going to do all these things. I got plans, but I want to get there first. I want to see if I can do that.
That's always been my rule about getting my hands tattooed.
Yeah.
I said when I get signed, I'll get my hands tattooed, but I won't do it until then.
Exactly. I want to sign a metal band with no tattoos. That's what I wanted. That was my goal.
Yeah, when
That's-
I get
that's-
signed in wrestling,
yeah.
I'm gonna get my hands tattooed.
That's
That's
fair.
always been like my. I've always had nothing below my wrist. All my tattoos besides the little ones behind my ears can be covered in like a dress shirt.
Yeah. I saw
So
the
it's like-
I saw the skull.
Yeah.
But like my drummer had a skull on his neck. So like I had members that had tattoos, but I was like, you know what? I just want to see if I can achieve this. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was something a little personal. But Chris Ruby, he was a tattoo. He played guitar for Devil Wears Prada. All these guys, Volumes were all all these guys I looked up to were there. And he's like, we'll tattoo you completely for free now, dude. Just like let us tattoo you in Prada's bus. And I'm sitting there. I'm just like, maybe I should do this. Like I was like,
Yeah.
I was so tempted, but like my mind's like, no, you're gonna achieve what you're gonna achieve. These guys are not gonna influence you like that. Andrew, stick to
good,
your
though.
guns, go. And I was like, nah, dudes, I'll just hang out. We'll have beers. We'll hang out. We'll smoke. We'll just chill. No tattoos. And like, dude, you can get a free tattoo right now. We'll cover your body, bro. Let's do it. And I was like,
Not
nah,
even
nah.
like a little one on the shoulder.
I didn't even do anything.
Not
I
even
didn't
like
let
one on the
it happen.
shoulder,
I was like,
like-
if I get
You know
signed,
what though? Like I respect that because like I'm straight edge. I've
Yeah,
stuck
yeah,
to
yeah,
that
yeah,
since
yeah,
I was
absolutely, yeah.
15 years old.
Absolutely,
But
yeah.
there's been situations where like I've been around people who've been partying and stuff, and they're like and but I feel that I always stick to my guns. I always stay true to my
Yeah.
convictions.
it's a hard one.
And
too,
that's
yeah.
yours. But
That's
like,
mine,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? That was yours. That you had this dude offering you a free tattoo.
Yeah.
And like you just
Yeah.
were like, nah, man, that's not my thing. Like I'm not in the right space for that right now.
Right.
And I respect that.
And
Like,
and they respected it
but-
too. They were very, very, very like they were like, "This is so cool, man!" Like because they had seen us videos, they had seen it. Like you're so. It was a whole moment.
There's
It was
been
cool.
a lot of times where I've been around some old school wrestlers who are all smoking, and they'll go to pass me something, and I'm like, nah, I'm cool, man. But then like, there's a lot of guys who are like, man, I would love to smoke with so and so.
Right.
I'm not gonna throw anyone's names out.
Sure,
like,
sure. Yeah.
Whatever. But like, I've told stories to friends, and they're like, you had that opportunity and you didn't take it. I'm like, well, yeah, of course I didn't. You know,
Right,
like
right.
but
That's not my mentality.
Right.
Right. Exactly. That's how I felt.
just me
yeah.
being present in the moment was good enough for me.
That's how I
You know
felt.
what I mean? And I'm sure that's how you felt there.
It really was. I was just so happy. Like we're talking like the whole band and like the guy that was running the merch table, the manager, they're all on this tour bus. We're all just hanging out, and they're like, "We'll do it right here if you want to get like how." Because I mean, to get tattooed by these guys, they're all like they all have side jobs. Like they're working. Most of them are tattoo artists because they're doing what they love, and they're artists from the start.
That gives you the freedom to tour too.
Exactly.
That way you're
You can do it everywhere. And I was just like, I was so set. If we get this, then I'll let you do it. And then Chris offered to manage us, and we started continue with him. I was like, I can always get a tattoo from Chris down the line. That's how my mind went there. I was like justifying whatever, but like that was my thing. I was just like, I love being in this position, but I'm gonna tell these guys no, and I'm gonna move on with my life. And we had a great time. We took selfies. It was so much fun. Like we got fed. They did the whole nine for us, and we didn't even play. They just felt bad because we couldn't play, and we were being treated like they were looking up to us. I'm like, no, you guys are the bands that are headlining this whole entire festival, and they're like, man, you guys are out there grinding. We remember when we were grinding. You guys are here. You made it here. You're in the room with us.
That's what
it was.
Always.
They recognized it. I really understood it.
I always appreciate too when people have that mentality and like that humble, like, you know, hey man, like we were there not too long ago, so you know, like and they're chill, because sometimes people let the fame and you know all that get to their heads, and then they become too cool for the people who are underneath them.
Right.
So I always, and that's another thing that I've always tried to tell myself too, that no matter how big this may get me, or no matter how far I may go, to like. I always want to stay humble. I always want to be cool to the people who are on their way up, because this is another thing too. And I'm sure that, and she said this too before, that the people who, you know, you meet while you're on your way up are the same people you're going to meet while you're on your way down.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, you want to stay cool with those people, because if you're a dick to them once you know you big league them, or you act like a dick once you get up to the top, once you're on your way down, they're not going to want to fuck with you.
Right.
And like, so the same people, you're going to run into them same people on the way up and the way down.
100%.
So you want to stay in people's good graces.
All right, man. Lord Crewe. So what's your favorite move? What's your favorite like in the octagon, or not octagon, in the
square,
square, bro? Like
square.
what's the one thing that you just like? You're like, yeah, here it comes. Like this is it.
That's my finisher, dude. The Earth Shatter.
The Earth Shatter.
That's what
All right,
I call it. I
tell me
call
what
it the
it
Earth
is.
Shatter. So it's an orange crush. It's hook like a suplex. Once they go up, their head goes out into a power bomb.
Oh, nice.
So it's
dude.
like, there's some people call it the X-plex, where they'll do it and they just let go of the guy, but I sit out with it. So,
oh, nice, bro.
yeah, but that's my big one.
And who's the one guy that you want to do that to? What's the one? If it could be any WWE or WWF,
Like what my dream match would be.
yeah, bro. Like it
Damn,
doesn't
man,
matter. Like old or new,
live
like,
or dead.
yeah. Like
Who would
who's
be
the
like
one
my-
that you want to do that to?
If I could have that dream match with anybody, fuck, that's tough, because there's so many people who
Oh, I'm
First
sure.
one to come to mind.
I've always thought it would be super cool to have a match with Bruiser Brody,
All right.
because our styles.
Bruiser Brody. Okay.
He's been dead for fucking years. He's probably been dead since before I'm alive. But
But
like,
why him? Yeah.
because that's the style that I've always tried to emulate. Just that ruthless brawler, just psycho dude that just looks like he would just murder you and just rip your face off.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the so like I respect that style so much, and that like I think him and I would have tore the house down.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. A vibe out there. I see. I see. Okay.
Yeah. But people right now who are currently active, I know this is a really weird one, but he's an AEW Pentagon. He's he's Mexican luchador dude.
All right.
There's something about that dude's style that I think our styles would just mesh real well, and I think we'd put on a banger.
There you
Okay.
go.
Yeah,
Put it out. Put
Put
it
it
out
out
to
there in
the
the
world.
universe. Yeah. The universe heard. That's
Hey,
dope.
like I said, I mean, I've done a handful of matches there. You know, who knows? He might be the next one.
That's awesome.
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah.
If it happens, come on the podcast again because we can do part 2s. We can always
Yeah.
do part 2s. Explain how it works because
sure.
that's awesome. So Ocean Grid, when we were shooting our music videos, we actually shot in a wrestling ring out of Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, okay. Was it
Yeah.
Rockstar?
Yeah,
I
we
used,
shot
to
our
wrestle, I used to wrestle there.
yeah.
every
We had all
week.
music videos shot there,
I
so
used
that
to
was
wrestle
cool.
there every week.
Yeah,
I did-
bro.
I wrestled there every week for probably 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
dope. It was dope. We
Good
we
old
had all the
Rockstar.
crowd. We had a crowd set out the thing. We
Yeah.
paid them all in pizza, but it was a cool time. Welterweight was the song. Welterweight was the song. But yeah, we did a whole music video. We had we played in the ring, and then we had like this black figure that was kind of like he was kind of like in all the videos. He kind of
Yeah.
represented us, but like he was an all black suit. But he sat in the middle of the ring. Pretty epic. But wrestling.
I actually wrestled on a show that Greg's band Daywalker.
Okay,
played
yeah.
on.
It's Kerwin. Yeah.
We did a show. There's a photographer from the Louisville area named Mouse. Shout out to Mouse. Love you, Dad.
Yeah.
No, but Mouse ran a show called Fright Night where he did bands and wrestling, and
Okay.
Daywalker played, and I wrestled on it, so that was kind of cool.
That's
that me and
dope,
Greg
yeah.
got to
Yeah.
do that together because I've known Greg for fucking years.
Yeah.
Forever.
Of course, yeah, for
So
sure.
that was a cool thing.
That is dope.
Yeah.
That's full circle. That's awesome.
And I came out and I snatched a mic on one of their songs and sang a part of it, and that was floating
That's
around
tight.
on Twitter for a minute.
Okay
yeah.
then, dope, dude. That's
Yeah, it was
awesome.
a lot of fun.
That is awesome. That because you have experience with the music scene, and now you're in like a whole new world. Like
Yeah.
even though they're similar in certain aspects, like nothing like I'm sure it's nothing like getting in a ring. Like that
Dude,
is.
it's a feeling I can't describe.
Yeah.
I really can't.
Yeah. So next time you gotta like do a selfie and get in the ring and like jump off. Do something cool. I'm telling you, use TikTok and
That's
make
what
it.
those twins I was talking about earlier, those dudes that are real big on TikTok, they do that. The dude literally climbs up to the top. He does like a fucking selfie.
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
and, like, yeah.
There you go, bro.
That's it.
I mean, you've been talking about the kids the past 2 hours on the episode, bro. So I think it's time to give the kids some
What they
entertainment,
want. Give
bro.
them what
Yeah.
they want, man.
All right. So if anybody wants to find you on social media, what's your handles there?
On everything, so Twitter, Instagram, I just made a hive because people are starting to migrate over to there for the
Yeah.
imminent downfall of Twitter.
Oh yeah.
So I'm Lord Crewe Kills on everything. And then if you just search Lord Crewe, LORDCREWE on Facebook, I'm the handsome bastard with the beard.
There you go.
Yeah. So
All right, man.
Appreciate you.
And anybody else you want to shout out or anything before we get out of here?
just want to send a shout out to the promotions that have always taken chances on me. Shout out to my trainer, Roger Ruffin, at the Northern Wrestling Federation. Derek at Unsanctioned Pro for being one of the ones to give me a place to, hone my craft, and he's put a lot of faith into me. Marty Bell, my sweet angel of a girlfriend over there. I want to also shout out Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Dave Marquez, he has he took a chance on me down in Atlanta, and he's been great to me ever since. He's the one who
Make sure there's a
brings-
payoff, bro.
Yeah,
make sure there's a payoff. You know,
yeah,
if people are putting money into your basket,
That's
make,
right.
Make sure
Yeah.
you double down on what you're good at, bro. And
Yeah,
make
so
sure that they
like
get
I
a good
said,
investment.
Marquez, I guess he sees something in me. He's put a lot of faith in me. He's brought me out to Cali to do television out there, so I appreciate him more than I could put into words. And I want to thank you guys for bringing me in, and I also want to shout out my homies at Collar and Elbow brand.
I like that shirt.
Yeah,
for sure,
those
bro.
are they're Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
Oh,
so
dope.
for all your wrestling brothered out T-shirt needs.
I saw you got some tees on ProWrestling.com.
Yeah, ProWrestlingTees.com/Lord
Yeah.
Crewe. So if you want to go pick up some threads from me there,
That's
I would
incredible,
greatly
bro. I wish
appreciate
we would have had one in shop to like advertise like during
Yeah.
the podcast. I looked them up and I saw it. I was like, bro, there's no way this is gonna get here in time if I order this, man. And then
Yeah.
I started thinking, I'm like, maybe I can just print one And then I was
Yeah.
like, well, that's a big fuck up. that's a big red flag if I print one for the store, just to have one when you get here. But well, next time you're here, bro, we'll make sure we have a couple shirts in stock, and then we'll give one away to one of the listeners and shit. I think it'll be a cool recap, because I think
we could
I think
definitely do
in
that for
12
sure.
months from now, you and the girl, man, you both are gonna be on another level for sure, bro.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see.
Yeah,
it,
so
man.
maybe next time we'll get her to sit in on the next one or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. Hey,
Yeah,
she's
we'll do
she's
little-
a Cincinnatian now.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
a Cincinnati
You're
now.
stuck,
She's-
girl.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, so maybe next time we'll both sit in on it.
For sure. Whenever
Yeah.
you guys want to get in, man, just get a hold of Andrew, and we can make it happen
For sure. And
man.
again, I appreciate this so much, you guys. Thank you
Yeah,
for
man.
bringing me on and having me do this in your cool store.
Yeah,
here.
appreciate you.
Seriously.
You agreed to do it. Like, I was sending a message. I was like, I saw you doing your stuff, and I was like, you know what? We're out here interviewing. Like, we interview local natives of like local business owners, local musicians, local celebrities. It doesn't matter. Like, we're just here to like give the shine when it's due. And I saw you doing your thing, and I was like, you know what? Sean's out there killing it, man. Like,
Thank you, man.
I was
I
always a fan of
appreciate
Best. Like, I just liked.
Yeah,
I
we were
lis-
pretty fucking cool.
It was pretty cool, man. Dude, like I really like remember like not many local bands pulled that many people. Like back in the Mad Hatter days,
Yeah.
it was always this big metal fest that was doing all the money and all the asses and seats, as you will. But like All At Best, just for some reason, every show in Hanging Madison, that was another band.
Yeah.
Those bands were just pulled so many people. Like, where are y'all coming from for these bands? But like thinking back on, like it was just an era where social media hadn't really taken over. At that point, it was just
in its
infancy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to see, and it really inspired me to pursue where I went. So appreciate you for doing all the work you put in, and now you're doing a new job, new work, new passion, and I love to see it. So
Thanks, man.
watching you on Facebook, I'm here for it. I'll be here every step of the
We'll
way.
keep
so.
watching because the
I
good
will.
shit's just getting started.
Oh, trust me.
Hey,
Same here.
that's
We're
what
just
I'm
getting
talking
started,
about.
bro. We're just getting started here too. So we're gonna work together. So
Awesome,
we'll do
man.
a collab tee. Let's do a collab tee.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
A native,
I'm all for it.
Lord Crewe native collab X. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, that'd be
All right,
super
boss.
Let's
dope.
do it. Yeah.
All right, everybody, this is going to wrap up another episode of the PowWow. So,
Sir.
Yaman, I appreciate you being a part of it. Lord Crewe, AI, I appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you,
And until the next episode of the PowWow, we'll see you then. It's your boy Jay Banks. We're out of here. Later. See you.
Later.
Bye.
Oh, you know what's funny, bro?
Yeah.
That bye thing that you did, I heard.
Bye.
It sounded like one of the coaches in the last football game was making that sound. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
what is happening right now? Yeah. All right, we're out of
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Later.
Later.
Yeah, so let's do this again soon, man. We need to get the wife on ASAP.
Bye. Oh, that right. Love that view. That's the store.